In his previous life, Alex got a small rabbit tattoo with his girlfriend. No one knew that after the apocalypse, tattoos would become the key to awakening powerful abilities. His girlfriend awakened the spirit rabbit tattoo and kept hiding him from danger. But Alex didn't have any tattoo, so he couldn't awaken a single power. All he could do was watch as she fought terrifying monsters on her own. In the end, she gave her life to protect him. Filled with regret, Alex opened his eyes again and realized he had been reborn exactly one day before the apocalypse. This time, he sold everything he owned and went straight to a tattoo shop. He swore that this time he would stand at the very top of the food chain. He wanted the Pangu tattoo, the one that split the heavens and the earth across his chest. On his back, he wanted the 9 dragons pulling the coffin tattoo. On his left leg, the Eastern Emperor Tai Yi tattoo. On his right leg, the great sage equal to heaven Sun Wukong tattoo. The moment they heard his request, all 8 tattoo masters froze. Some of them even dropped their tattoo machines as they stared at him like he was insane. "Kid, do you have a death wish? The Pangu tattoo alone is already considered a forbidden destiny, and now you also want the 9 dragons pulling the coffin tattoo? That's not some ordinary mythical totem. It's a forbidden tattoo, linked to the destruction of countless lives." Alex let out a cold smile. "If 1 million isn't enough, I'll pay 10 million. I want you to do the work yourself, and everyone else can help. It has to be finished within 7 days. The master's expression changed. 7 days? Have you lost your mind? A tattoo this huge can't be finished in just 7 days. Alex pulled out a list from his pocket and placed it on the table. Military-grade recovery gel, bionic repair patches, imported painkillers, and anti-infection medicine. I've already prepared everything. You only need to do the tattoo. My life is my own responsibility." The master stared at him in silence for nearly 30 seconds. Finally, he picked up the tattoo machine and spoke in a heavy voice. "I've spent my whole life tattooing gods, but I've never seen anyone as crazy as you. Fine, I'll take the job." 3 days later, on the outskirts of Jiangzhou City, deep inside the mountains, there was an abandoned underground base called Black Stone. From above, it looked like an old Cold War air raid shelter. Later, it had been turned into a heavily guarded prison, but Alex knew its true identity. It was a sealed underground command center from the old era. Its main structure, energy well, ventilation tunnels, and water storage system were still intact. He wasn't there to build a new hideout. He was there to reactivate the base, reinforce its defenses, and restore its entire firepower system. During those 3 days, Alex only visited the Blackstone base once. Alex signed the contract, inspected the entire structure, and confirmed that the energy well and ventilation system were still usable. He handed the rest of the work over to his lawyers and construction team. Everyone in Jiangzhou knew him as the city's biggest spendthrift, but he wasn't just buying the place. He planned to completely rebuild it. Without any hesitation, he signed the contract and gave a new order. "Contact the best security construction team in the country. Within 10 days, I want this place turned into an apocalypse fortress that not even a fly can get into." He wanted 5-meter-high military-grade alloy walls, blast-proof gates strong enough to withstand millions of tons of pressure, a top-level ecological circulation system, and every sealed energy alloy facility underground fully repaired and brought back online. Alex immediately paid 100 million in cash. The rest of the money will be transferred within 10 days. "Don't worry about the budget. I'll pay triple wages. I want people working here 24 hours a day." As one order after another was given, the entire city of Jiangzhou was shaken. Meanwhile, back at the tattoo shop, the master was personally working on Alex's tattoos while his 3 apprentices helped with the coloring, line work, and cleaning the skin. The first black dragon in the 9 dragons pulling the coffin tattoo on Alex's back was already finished. Its eyes hadn't been drawn yet, but it was already giving off an overwhelming pressure. His friend Xu Xiaodao sat beside him. The Nujia tattoo on Xu Xiaodao's left arm was almost complete and looked incredibly fierce. Meanwhile, Jiang Xingyi was in a private room next door, where a female tattoo artist was finishing the fine details of his 9 heavenly goddess tattoo. Alex kept his phone beside him the whole time. Messages from his lawyers, agents, construction team, and material suppliers kept appearing on the screen. While enduring the pain of the tattoo needle, he was also busy selling all of his assets and buying the abandoned prison hidden deep in the mountains. At that moment, he opened a live stream app and entered the #1 trending stream in the city. The streamer was none other than his sworn enemy, Shu Rui, the son of the richest man in Jiangzhou. In the live stream, Shu Rui was relaxing inside his luxurious mansion in the middle of the city. He casually swirled a glass of red wine while laughing nonstop. What the hell happened to Alex? Did he completely lose his mind? He's covering his whole body with gangster-style tattoos. I honestly can't stop laughing. As the camera moved, a brand new red flower tattoo could be seen near Zhao Yuqing's waist. It looked as bright as fresh blood and carried a mysterious aura. Alex glanced at it, and his expression turned cold. The blood flower tattoo. In his previous life, Zhao Yuqing never had that tattoo. It looked like she had gone out of her way to get it this time, just to please Shu Rui. Looking excited, Shu Rui faced the camera and said, "Guys, you won't believe this." Shu Rui laughed as he looked at the camera. "Not only did Alex waste money buying that broken bunker in the mountains, but I also heard he spent over 100 million buying pork, rice, and supplies from supermarkets all over the city. Looks like he really plans to spend the rest of his life hiding in that bunker." The live stream chat exploded. Damn, being poor really limits my imagination. Are all rich people this crazy? Jiang Xingyi is our goddess, and she actually went to live in the bunker with him? It's confirmed, this guy has completely lost his mind. Someone should send him straight to a mental hospital. Seeing everyone mocking Alex online, Xu Xiaodao trembled with anger. Brother Alex, that bastard Shu Rui. But Alex calmly watched Shu Rui's arrogant face on the screen, while the tattoo needle kept piercing his skin. There wasn't a trace of anger in his eyes, only calmness. The higher he climbs now, the harder he'll fall later. Xiaodao, keep an eye on the supply trucks. There can't be a single mistake with our apocalypse fortress. 7 days had passed since Alex was reborn. During those 7 days, he barely stepped out of the underground tattoo room. Master Gui Fu and his 3 apprentices worked in shifts around the clock. During the day, they drew the outlines. At night, they filled in the colors. Late at night, they fixed every tiny detail. To keep his skin from breaking down, Alex had already bought military-grade recovery gel and bionic repair patches from the black market. Every time a section was finished, it was immediately sealed with recovery gel. Without it, his skin would have given out long ago. Late on the 7th night, the sound of the tattoo machine finally stopped. Xu Xiaodao's Nejia and Erlong Shun tattoos had been completed 2 days earlier. Jiang Xingyi's 9 Heavens Mystic Maiden tattoo was finished yesterday. Now, Alex's 4 great forbidden totems were finally complete. Pangu covered his chest. 9 dragons pulling the coffin stretched across his back. Eastern Emperor Tai Yi was on his left leg, and the great sage equal to heaven, Sun Wukong, was on his right leg. Master Gui Fu took off his gloves and let out a long sigh as he admired the finished tattoos. It's done. I've spent my whole life making tattoos, but I've never created anything like this. Pangu, 9 dragons, Eastern Emperor Tai Yi, and the great sage equal to heaven. With this single masterpiece, no tattoo artist in Jiangzhou will ever be able to surpass me. Alex stood up and walked over to the mirror. The 4 forbidden totems covered his chest, back, and legs. Every line looked ancient, powerful, and razor-sharp. The most striking one was the 9 dragons pulling the coffin tattoo on his back. 9 black dragons twisted upward along both sides of his back. Their shining scales overlapped each other as their 9 tails met in the center, pulling an ancient black coffin. Mysterious chains wrapped tightly around the coffin, giving it an eerie and intimidating presence. Even though it was only a tattoo, anyone who looked at it could feel a strange pressure. Xu Xiaodao walked around Alex, staring at the tattoos before swallowing nervously. These look terrifying. If I hadn't watched them being made myself, I think they would come alive at night. Alex put on his clothes and covered every tattoo. They're just tattoos for now. They'll truly awaken when the red moon appears. Xu Xiaodao froze. The red moon? Alex didn't answer. He simply checked the time on his phone. There were only 12 days left until the red moon arrived. Let's go to Blackstone Base. It's time to inspect our apocalypse fortress. 2 hours later, They arrived at Blackstone Base in the mountains outside Jiangzhou. Most of the construction was already finished. The underground ventilation system, energy core, and ecological circulation system had all been restored. During the next 12 days, Alex barely took any rest. He bought diesel, heavy off-road vehicles, backup generators, military-grade protective suits, and every survival supply he could find. To everyone else, it looked like he had gone completely insane. But only Alex knew that the civilized world didn't have much time left. One day before the Red Moon arrived, the final shipment reached Blackstone Base. The underground warehouse was packed with rice, flour, drinking water, canned food, fresh meat, medicine, diesel, backup generators, and military-grade protective suits. The 3-story underground storage area was almost completely full. Su Xiaodao stood at the entrance with his eyes wide open. "Brother Alex, are you planning to live here until your next life?" Jiang Xingyi quietly looked around as well. She already knew Alex had been stockpiling supplies, but seeing the massive underground warehouse with her own eyes still shocked her. She frowned slightly. "Brother Alex, what exactly are you preparing for?" Alex didn't answer right away. He slowly walked to the center of the warehouse and raised his right hand. The next second, a flash of light appeared. Thousands of tons of supplies stacked across all 3 floors disappeared into thin air. A moment ago, the warehouse had been completely full. Now, it was completely empty. Only the marks left by the heavy cargo and the smell of diesel and grain remained. Su Xiaodao stood there, frozen. He blinked several times, rubbed his eyes, then rushed into the middle of the warehouse. After running around the empty floor 3 times, he turned to Alex in disbelief. "Holy, where did everything go? This place was packed a second ago." I blinked once, and thousands of tons of supplies just disappeared. Is this some kind of magic? Jiang Xingyi wasn't as dramatic as Su Xiaodao, but even her usually calm eyes were filled with shock. She slowly walked over to Alex and looked straight at him. "Brother Alex, what is all this?" Alex stayed silent for a moment. There was no point hiding the truth anymore. There were less than 24 hours left before the Red Moon arrived. They had to know what was coming. Alex spoke calmly. "This is a pocket space. It's connected to a special change that happened to my body." He still didn't mention being reborn. It wasn't because he didn't trust them. Telling them everything right now would only put more pressure on them. "You only need to know that this space can store a huge amount of supplies. Time inside it is almost frozen. Food won't spoil, medicine won't expire, and things like diesel, weapons, and valuable metals can stay inside for a very long time." Su Xiaodao stood there with his mouth wide open. "So you didn't buy all those supplies just to fill the warehouse? You bought them so you could carry them with you." He looked at Alex in confusion. "Brother Alex, what are you hiding from us?" Alex took a deep breath. "Tomorrow night, when the Red Moon rises, you'll understand everything. At exactly midnight, the moon will turn blood red. Right after that, black mist will rise from deep underground and spread across the entire world. Animals and plants will mutate into monsters that hunt humans. Plants will come alive and devour people. Within a few hours, every city will lose order, and human civilization will collapse overnight." The warehouse fell into complete silence. Su Xiaodao opened his mouth, but this time he didn't joke around. Just a few minutes ago, he had watched thousands of tons of supplies disappear with his own eyes. That alone had shattered everything he thought was possible. Jiang Xingyi didn't argue either. She simply looked into Alex's eyes. "Proof." Alex answered calmly. "What you just saw is one piece of proof. The second is the tattoos on your bodies." Jiang Xingyi instinctively looked at her tattoo. Alex continued. "The Red Moon's energy will awaken every tattoo on a person's body. They won't stay ordinary tattoos anymore. They'll become real totem avatars. Normal tattoos will only give basic physical enhancements. Beast tattoos will grant transformation abilities. But mythical totems will awaken true avatars. The older and more complete the totem is, the stronger its destiny will be. And once it awakens, its power will be terrifying." Su Xiaodao suddenly understood. "So that's why you had me get the Neza and Erlang Shen tattoos. So I could survive. Alex nodded. Both of your tattoos are top-level mythical totems. If you survive the Red Moon's awakening, you'll become much stronger than most awakeners. Then he turned to Jiang Xingyi. Xingyi, your Nine Heavens Mystic Maiden totem gives you high-level abilities like attack, defense, purification, and battlefield support. In the future, things like mental corruption, poison, pollution, and spiritual erosion will become more common. When that happens, your totem will be extremely important. Jiang Xingyi took a deep breath. The doubt on her face slowly disappeared, replaced by tension. So you sold all your assets, bought Blackstone Base, gathered all these supplies, and had us get these tattoos. This wasn't some last-minute decision. You already knew something huge was about to happen. Alex didn't answer. His silence was the clearest answer. Suddenly, Xu Xiaodao's expression changed. Wait, Brother Alex, what about my parents? They're still at their repair shop in the South District. Alex replied immediately. Don't worry. I already sent people to pick them up. Xu Xiaodao froze. What did you say? Alex handed him his phone. A real-time feed from the security convoy was playing on the screen. An armored business vehicle was parked outside an old street in the Southern District. The door opened, and two security guards in black combat uniforms helped a middle-aged couple into the vehicle. The man was of average height, with sunburned skin and hands stained with years of oil and grease from repairing cars. The moment Xu Xiaodao saw them, his eyes turned red. Alex spoke softly. I already contacted your parents before this. I told them Blackstone Base needed maintenance and logistics staff, and I offered them a high-paying temporary job. They don't know anything about the apocalypse. They only think they'll be working here for a few days. The convoy will arrive in about 20 minutes. Xu Xiaodao's lips trembled, but he couldn't say a word. In his previous life, after the Red Moon appeared, he had risked everything to save his parents. But by the time he reached the South District, the entire area had already been overrun by mutated rats. The only things he found were his father's broken wrench and his mother's old apron, the one she never wanted to throw away. After that, Xu Xiaodao fought like a madman every single day until he was eventually killed inside a monster nest. But this time, Alex wouldn't let him suffer that pain again. He placed a hand on Xu Xiaodao's shoulder. Don't worry. This time, I'll make sure your parents stay safe. Xu Xiaodao lowered his head. His shoulders trembled slightly. After a long silence, he finally looked up. His eyes were completely red. Brother Alex, thank you. Alex simply smiled. Jiang Xingyi quietly watched everything. After a while, she asked softly, What about my father? Alex answered calmly. Uncle Jiang is completely safe. You know he's one of the Dragon Nation's top energy research academicians. Half a month ago, the military transferred him to an underground base in the capital to work on the country's highest-level energy core project. Right now, that's one of the safest places in all of Dragon Nation. Hearing that, Jiang Xingyi finally let out a sigh of relief. After a brief pause, Alex continued. As for your mother, his voice became quieter. Jiang Xingyi's mother had passed away from an illness several years ago. It was the deepest wound in her heart. She didn't ask anything else. She simply nodded. I understand. Alex looked at both of them and spoke seriously. From this moment on, Blackstone Base is under complete lockdown. No one leaves this base. Xu Xiaodao took a deep breath and nodded. Jiang Xingyi also instinctively touched the Nine Heavens Mystic Maiden tattoo on her back. Alex raised his head and looked into the dark night outside the base. Everything was ready. Now, all they had to do was wait. The next morning, Xu Xiaodao's parents were settled into the safest living cabin inside Blackstone Base. His father, Xu Xianggu, had served as a soldier when he was younger. Although he had no idea what was about to happen, the tight security around the base told him something was seriously wrong. He didn't ask any questions. He simply patted Xu Xiaodao on the shoulder. Stay with President Alex and work hard. Meanwhile, Li Guilan had been busy in the kitchen since early morning. She made a huge pot of fresh dumplings for everyone. As Xu Xiaodao ate, his eyes slowly turned red, but he stayed silent. He knew that once the apocalypse began, a warm, homemade meal like this would become an impossible dream for most people. The night before, Alex had already stored every remaining supply inside his pocket space. At dawn, the final heavy carbon alloy gate of Blackstone Base was completely sealed. The entire underground fortress was brightly lit. The underground energy core, which had been inactive for years, was now running at full power. The monitoring system displayed a full 360-degree view of the outside world. Xu Xiaodao watched the screens while holding a bowl of dumplings. Jiang Xingyi stood in front of the massive display, checking the outer defense systems. Her Nine Heavens Mystic Maiden tattoo had fully healed. The calm aura around her now carried a sharp and powerful presence. Just then, a trending news notification appeared on Alex's phone. Xu Rui had started another live stream. On the screen, he was once again hosting a luxurious party inside his mansion in the center of the city. Crystal chandeliers, champagne towers, music, beautiful women, and wealthy young guests filled the lavish hall. Alex checked the time. There was less than 1 hour left before the red moon appeared. Xu Rui wrapped an arm around Zhao Yuqing, looked at the camera, and laughed. "Guys, I bet that crazy Alex is already hiding in some mountain bunker." He sold all his property, stocked up on pork and rice, and even dragged Jiang Xingyi along to get tattoos. Does he really think the world is about to end? Zhao Yuqing leaned against Xu Rui and laughed. "Young Master Xu, honestly, I can't wait to see how Alex deals with the embarrassment tomorrow." Xu Rui swirled the wine in his glass and laughed even harder. "If nothing happens tonight, I'll personally take people to that mountain bunker tomorrow. I'll tear the whole place down and drag Alex to a mental hospital myself." Millions of people in the live stream laughed along. The chat was flooded with jokes and insults. But inside Blackstone Base, the only sound was the steady hum of the energy core. Alex glanced at his watch. 23:59. Only 10 seconds remained until the red moon arrived. The outside world was still celebrating. Inside the base, complete silence filled the room. 10, 9, 8. Alex slowly placed his fork and spoon on the table. 3, 2, 1. The moment the countdown ended, a deep, ancient roar echoed from beneath the earth. Boom! The entire planet shook violently. Xu Rui, who had been laughing just moments earlier, suddenly froze. Outside the giant window of his mansion, the bright moon turned blood red in an instant. It hung in the sky like a giant, blood-filled eye, silently staring down at humanity. At the same time, thick black mist began rising from beneath the ground. Within moments, it swallowed the entire city of Jiangzhou. What the hell is this? The moon. It really turned red. Xu Rui screamed in terror. The wine glass slipped from his hand and shattered on the floor, but he didn't even notice. Just then, the purebred poodle sitting on Zhao Yuqing's lap suddenly let out a terrifying roar. Right before millions of viewers, its body rapidly expanded. Black fur covered its body, its eyes turned blood red. Razor-sharp fangs burst from its mouth. The next second, the mutated poodle lunged at Zhao Yuqing. Its claws ripped through her shoulder and slammed her to the floor. The camera shook violently. Screams filled the live stream. "Young Master Xu, save me!" Zhao Yuqing's face turned completely pale with fear. She reached out to Xu Rui for help, but Xu Rui was already trembling in panic. "Stay away from me! Don't come near me!" He stumbled backward and even kicked her hand away before turning and running toward the stairs. Zhao Yuqing lay on the floor. Her clothes were quickly soaked in blood, and her whole body shook uncontrollably. The only thing she saw was Xu Rui running away without looking back. The mutated poodle slowly walked toward her again. Its blood-red eyes stayed locked on its prey. The live stream chat exploded. "Someone save her! Xu Rui actually ran away! Just moments ago, he was talking about love. Now it was all over. The last bit of hope in Zhao Yuqing's eyes slowly disappeared. It was replaced by nothing but hatred and anger. At that moment, the blood spider lily tattoo on her waist began to glow. Waves of crimson light spread across her body. One by one, red spider lily petals appeared in the air. Behind her, a huge sea of blood-red flowers bloomed. The scene was both beautiful and terrifying. She spoke in a cold voice. "So, You abandoned me too. Shu Rue had already reached the stairs, but he stopped when he heard her. He turned around. The next second, his face turned pale. Countless spider lilies had bloomed beneath Zhao Yuqing's feet. They swayed like living creatures. Flower vines shot forward and wrapped around the mutated poodle's legs. The monster that had looked so fierce a moment ago was now trapped, like it had fallen into a nightmare. It collapsed to the ground, trembling helplessly. Using the wall for support, Zhao Yuqing slowly stood up. The wound on her shoulder was already covered by crimson flowers. A mysterious smile appeared on her face. The live stream chat exploded. She's awakened! Flowers are growing all over her body! What kind of power is this? This is terrifying. The next second, the screen went black. The live stream suddenly ended. Alex looked at the dark screen on his phone and smiled coldly. The yellow spring's spider lily blooms without leaving a path back. Zhao Yuqing really chose the perfect destiny for herself in this life. Just then, Shu Xiaodao's trembling voice broke the silence. Brother Alex, everything outside has fallen apart. He was staring at the city through the monitoring screens. Alex immediately warned him, "Don't look outside. Keep your mind steady." By then, the Red Moon's energy had already pierced through the thick rock surrounding Blackstone Base and reached their bodies. Shu Xiaodao and Jiang Xingyi both cried out in pain. The Red Moon's energy poured into them like molten lava. The Nija tattoo on Shu Xiaodao's left arm burst into blazing flames. The third eye on his Erlong Shen tattoo opened, releasing brilliant golden light in every direction. On Jiang Xingyi's back, the Nine Heavens mystic maiden totem transformed into radiant light. A divine aura lifted her into the air. She looked calm, sacred, and untouchable. Both of them had awakened. Their powers had finally come to life. But what Alex was experiencing was far more terrifying. The Red Moon's energy flowing into his body was at least 10 times stronger than theirs. Suddenly, 9 deep dragon roars echoed throughout the entire underground fortress. The 9 dragons pulling, the coffin totem on Alex's back, had fully awakened. 9 enormous black dragon phantoms emerged from his back. Their bodies were as massive as mountains. Their scales shone with an icy glow. All 9 pairs of blood-red eyes opened at the same time. Behind them, an ancient black coffin slowly floated in the air. The red and black chains wrapped around the ancient coffin tightened one by one. An indescribable forbidden pressure spread throughout the entire underground fortress. Su Xiaodao's face turned pale as he stumbled several steps back. Even the Nine Heavens mystic maiden avatar behind Jiang Xingyi trembled slightly, as if it had instinctively sensed danger. The Eastern Emperor Tai Yi totem on Alex's left leg burst into flames like a blazing sun. It felt as if it could burn the entire world to ashes. At the same time, the shadow of the great sage equal to heaven, Sun Wukong, appeared over his right leg. An endless battle aura poured out from it. It carried a power that challenged both heaven and earth, crushing everything in its path. All 4 supreme totems had awakened at once. But in the next moment, Alex forcefully suppressed them. The 4 forbidden totems were simply too powerful. With his current strength, he couldn't keep all of them fully activated without paying a terrible price. Pangu represented absolute power. 9 dragons pulling the coffin represented suppression and destruction. A deafening roar suddenly echoed through the area. A mutated boar king charged straight at Alex with all its strength. Its massive body tore across the ground like a heavy tank. "Brother Alex, watch out! That's a level 1 peak beast king!" Su Xiaodao instinctively rushed forward to help. "Stay back." Alex only said 2 cold words. He didn't move an inch. He didn't dodge. He didn't retreat. Just as the boar king's spear-like tusks were about to pierce his chest, Alex finally moved. There was no fancy technique, no complicated move. He simply raised his right fist. Pangu's power. The Pangu totem on his chest suddenly shone with a deep golden light. A faint, ancient giant's silhouette gathered around his fist. The next second, he threw a punch. Boom! The several-ton mutated boar king didn't even have time to scream. Its enormous body crashed to the ground like a pile of mud. 1 punch, an instant kill. A level 1 peak beast king died on the spot. At the same moment, 9 deep dragon roars echoed from behind Alex. The enormous shadow of the 9 dragons pulling the coffin appeared once again. The 9 black dragons slowly opened their blood-red eyes as they pulled the ancient black coffin through the sky. 9 dragon suppression. Alex's voice rang out. Rumble. The black coffin shook slightly. In the next instant, an overwhelming pressure spread across the battlefield, as if a force from the deepest part of hell had descended. The entire forest was swallowed by that terrifying pressure. Every low-level mutated beast nearby collapsed to the ground in fear. Jiang Xingyi stood behind Alex. Even her usually calm eyes were filled with shock. Alex didn't explain anything. He walked straight to the corpse of the mutated boar king and cut off its head. Inside its brain, he found a thumb-sized crystal glowing with a bright red light. Alex picked up the crystal and held it in his palm. A beast core. After the apocalypse, it was one of the most valuable resources in the world. A faint smile appeared on his face. This is my first reward after the apocalypse. He placed the beast core into his pocket space. The moment it entered, he clearly felt the space tremble slightly. The change was small, but it had definitely expanded a little. In his previous life, humanity had quickly discovered that beast cores didn't just make awakeners stronger. They could also expand and strengthen storage spaces. Alex looked at Shu Xiaodao and Jiang Xingyi. Take out all the beast cores from these monsters, and don't waste the meat. After evolution, their meat can be stored for a long time. Got it. Shu Xiaodao immediately got to work. Just then, panicked screams echoed from the mountain road in the distance. Help! Somebody help! Everyone turned around. About a dozen people were desperately running toward Blackstone Base. They were covered in injuries and barely able to stay on their feet. Behind them, several mutated bloodblade mantises, each as large as a cheetah, were chasing them. Alex narrowed his eyes. The man leading the group looked familiar. The old fatty. He was the contractor who had handled the outer construction of Blackstone Base. In Alex's previous life, after everything had fallen apart, the old fatty and his men had used Alex as bait to save themselves. Boss Alex! Young Master Alex! Please save us! The old fatty shouted as he ran toward the base. Open the gate! We're all from Jiangzhou! You can't just leave us here to die! Alex stood still and looked at him with icy eyes. Leave you here to die? A cold light flashed across his eyes. When you pushed me into the jaws of death in my previous life, did you remember that we were all from the same city? The old fatty froze. He had no idea what Alex meant, but he could clearly understand the look in Alex's eyes. It wasn't the look of someone coming to save them. It was the look someone gave to the dead. Alex slowly raised his right hand. My fortress doesn't let trash inside. As soon as he finished speaking, he snapped his fingers. The massive alloy wall surrounding Blackstone Base instantly activated. Millions of volts of electricity surged across its surface. The charging mutated bloodblade mantises slammed straight into the electrified wall. Boom, boom, boom. Several mantises were blasted into the air before crashing to the ground as burning corpses. Leo Fatty's face instantly turned pale. Terrified, he collapsed onto the ground. Young Master Alex, I was wrong. Please forgive me. I really know I was wrong. Alex didn't even look at him again. I don't kill innocent people without reason, but I don't save my enemies, and evil people deserve to die. With those words, Alex turned around and calmly walked back toward Blackstone Base. The heavy alloy gate slowly closed behind Alex. The screams and desperate cries outside were soon swallowed by the darkness and the mutated beasts. By the 3rd day after the red moon appeared, the outside world had become a living hell. Wrecked cars and ruined buildings covered the streets. Stray cats and dogs had grown as large as bulls, roaming in packs and hunting the remaining survivors. Meanwhile, inside Blackstone Base, the smell of hot pot filled the air. Shu Xiaodao spoke with his mouth full. Brother Alex, if the apocalypse is like this every day, I don't mind staying here. Jiang Xingyi shot him an annoyed look. Go outside first, then say that again. Shu Xiaodao immediately fell silent. Alex took a sip of cold beer and leaned back on the sofa. Suddenly, a loud alarm echoed through the bunker. Beep! 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 Warning! Multiple heat signatures detected in the outer security zone. Alex immediately turned on the monitoring screen. About 1 kilometer from the bunker, a massive crowd was moving through the mountain road like a dark wave. There were at least 500 to 600 people. Many carried machetes and steel pipes, while some even had automatic rifles. Leading them was a huge bald man with a giant blood python tattoo wrapped around his body. It was Long Wu, the leader of the Qinglong gang. In his previous life, Long Wu had relied on his S-rank blood python totem to terrorize countless survivors during the early days of the apocalypse. Alex hadn't expected him to target Blackstone Base so soon in this life. On the screen, Long Wu rested a massive machete on his shoulder and shouted, "You cowards hiding inside! I know you've stocked enough food to last several lifetimes. Open the gate right now. Hand over all your supplies and all your women. If I'm in a good mood, I might let you live. Otherwise, I'll blow this entire bunker apart today." Shu Xiaodao jumped to his feet in anger. "Those bastards are even talking about Jiang Xingyi!" Alex simply smiled. "Relax. We spent billions on this defense system. It's finally time to let it do its job." Outside, Long Wu waited for a while. When no one answered, his face darkened. "So you don't even have the guts to show yourselves? Get the rocket launchers ready. Blow that gate open." 3 rockets streaked through the air and slammed into the bunker's main gate. Boom! 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 The explosions echoed across the mountains. The Qinglong gang burst into cheers. "That bunker must be gone. Our boss Long can destroy anything." But as the smoke cleared, every smile froze. The giant silver alloy gate was still standing. Not even a single scratch could be seen on its surface. Long Wu's expression twisted with rage. Attack again! At that moment, the metal panels hidden along the bunker walls slowly opened. Clank, clank, clank. Hidden compartments slid apart. 12 6-barrel Gatling heavy machine guns slowly emerged and locked onto the attackers. The black barrels of the guns locked onto the crowd. Sitting calmly inside the monitoring room with a glass of wine in his hand, Alex spoke in a relaxed voice. "Give them one warning." The next second, the base's broadcast system echoed across the mountains. "This is private property of Blackstone Base. Leave immediately, or you will be responsible for the consequences." Long Wu burst into laughter. "Private property? Screw your private property. Everyone, attack!" Alex calmly placed his wineglass on the table. Fire. The next second, all 12 Gatling guns roared to life. Rat-tat-tat-tat-tat-tat! A storm of armor-piercing bullets tore through the mountain road. Members of the Qinglong gang dropped one after another. In less than 20 seconds, the entire area was filled with screams. More than 200 gang members collapsed to the ground. The survivors panicked and turned to run. Alex remained seated in the monitoring room. His expression never changed. In the apocalypse, some people simply weren't worth saving. "Cease fire." He shut down the weapon system. Outside, the crowd of over 500 had been reduced to less than half. Long Wu slowly stood up, covered in blood. "You bastard! I won't let you live." His entire body was covered in crimson scales. As an S-rank blood python awakener, his life force and defense were far beyond normal. Ordinary bullets couldn't kill him so easily. He turned and shouted, "Earth-type awakeners! Dig a tunnel! We're not leaving until everyone inside is dead!" Several awakeners with pangolin tattoos immediately started digging into the ground. Alex looked at the screen and let out a cold laugh. They're in such a hurry to die. He stood up. "Xiaodao, Xingyi, guard the base. I'll go clean up the trash outside." The heavy alloy gate slowly opened. Alex walked out alone. Long Wu laughed loudly. "So you finally accepted your death." With a wave of his hand, the remaining 200 gang members charged toward Alex with their weapons raised. Alex didn't move. He slowly stepped forward with his left foot. The Eastern Emperor Tai Yi totem on his left leg burst into a deep golden light. An unbearable heat spread across the battlefield, as if the entire world was about to melt. Solar true fire. Alex stomped on the ground. Boom! A sea of golden flames exploded outward. The front line of attackers was blown into the air the instant the flames touched them. The ground turned black. Steel weapons melted into liquid metal. The heat was so overwhelming that no one dared get close to him. In a single attack, the remaining gang members completely lost the will to fight. Within seconds, the battlefield fell silent. Only Long Wu remained standing. His knees shook uncontrollably. Then he dropped to the ground. "You. What are you?" Alex slowly walked toward him. With every step Alex took, Long Wu's confidence crumbled. Impossible. This can't be the power of an F-rank awakener. Impossible. Suddenly, madness filled Long Wu's eyes. He bit his own tongue and spat a mouthful of blood onto his blood python tattoo. At once, his bones began to crack and stretch. Crimson scales spread across his body. His entire body started transforming. Within a few seconds, he had turned into a gigantic blood python, over 20 meters long and as thick as a water tank. S-rank totem, complete awakening. Long Wu roared like a madman. "I'll swallow you whole." The giant blood python opened its mouth. Its jaws were large enough to swallow an entire car. It lunged straight at Alex. The foul wind from its charge was so powerful that even rocks on the ground were blown away. Alex smiled. Being bigger doesn't make you stronger. He stepped forward with his right foot. Great sage equal to heaven, battle against the heavens. The Sun Wukong totem on his right leg exploded with brilliant golden light. An overwhelming battle aura shot into the sky. The next moment, Alex's body was covered in golden light. The blood flowing through his veins roared like raging dragons. A massive battle avatar appeared behind him. It wore purple gold armor and a phoenix wing crown. The moment its golden eyes opened, it felt as if the black mist covering the sky had been torn apart. The blood python charged straight at him. Instead of retreating, Alex rushed forward. His body shot into the air like a cannonball. The air exploded. A powerful shockwave swept through the entire forest like a hurricane. The tail that could easily crush armored vehicles shattered from a single strike. Its scales burst apart, and the entire tail was knocked backward. Satisfied, Alex turned around and walked back toward the underground shelter. The heavy alloy door slowly closed behind him. The killing and chaos outside were completely shut off. Shu Xiaodao hurried over with an excited grin. His eyes were filled with admiration. "Brother Alex, you're way too overpowered." Jiang Xingyi handed him a warm towel. A faint smile appeared in her beautiful eyes. "You've worked hard. The hot pot is still warm." Alex wiped his hands, sat back on the sofa, and picked up a slice of Wagyu beef. At the same time, nearly 500 meters underground in Kyoto, the atmosphere inside the nation's highest military command center was extremely tense. "Report. The third defense line of the Eastern War Zone has fallen. 3 level 4 beasts have broken through. Report. An abnormal tsunami has been detected on the southern coast. We suspect a deep-sea giant beast has reached the shoreline. Report. Thermal weapons are rapidly losing effectiveness against level 3 beasts and above. Our Awakener army has suffered heavy casualties." One terrible report after another hit the room like a hammer. Standing before a massive electronic battle map, the commander slowly closed his eyes in pain. He was Marshal Long, the supreme commander of Dragon Nation's military. Only 3 days had passed since the Red Moon appeared, yet more than half of the modern civilization humanity had built was already gone. Even the military was beginning to lose ground against the terrifying mutated giant beasts. Is this really the end for humanity? Just then, an intelligence officer suddenly jumped to his feet. "Supreme Commander, you need to see this. A high-altitude stealth drone has just returned with new footage." The image on the giant screen quickly zoomed in. It showed a mountain fortress surrounded by towering titanium alloy walls. Outside the fortress, the forest had been devastated by fire and heavy gunfire. The ground was littered with abandoned vehicles and weapons left behind by the fleeing Qinglonggang. In the center of the screen stood a young man with his upper body exposed. He was standing alone on the mountain road. Facing him was a terrifying blood python over 20 meters long and as thick as a water tank. Its entire body was covered in dark crimson scales, and madness filled its enormous eyes. "An S-class Awakener has been found! Should we send nearby troops to support him immediately?" "It's too late. The distance is too great. By the time our forces arrive, the battle will already be over." The next moment, the entire command center fell into complete silence. On the screen, brilliant golden light suddenly erupted from the young man's right leg. Behind him appeared a proud and fearless golden battle avatar. The avatar wore dazzling golden armor and a phoenix wing purple gold crown. In its hand was a massive golden staff that looked powerful enough to hold up the sky. Even through the drone's footage, everyone in the command center could feel the ancient and overwhelming battle aura coming from it. "What kind of path is that?" the intelligence officer muttered under his breath. No one answered, because the battle on the screen had entered its most shocking moment. In a single step, the young man appeared on top of the blood python's head. He gripped the golden staff tightly with both hands. Behind him, the golden battle avatar began to grow wildly. 10 meters, 30 meters, 50 meters. In the end, it transformed into a colossal avatar almost as tall as the mountain itself. The next second, the golden staff came crashing down onto the blood python's weakest point. Boom! Even through the screen, everyone could see the entire forest shake violently. The ground split apart, and rocks were blasted into the sky. The S-class blood python, whose defense could probably withstand even heavy weapons, was smashed deep into the ground with a single strike. Its massive body struggled for a few moments before going completely still. The command center fell into absolute silence. Several seconds later, someone finally swallowed nervously. He killed an S-class evolution beast in one attack? How is that even possible? What level of awakener is he? Just then, an intelligence officer received new information. Target identified. Alex, 22 years old, former heir of the Qin Group in Zhangzhou. 20 days before the Red Moon, he sold all of his assets and purchased Blackstone Base on the outskirts of Zhangzhou. He also stockpiled massive amounts of supplies. On top of that, he took 2 companions to an underground tattoo studio, where all 3 spent 7 straight days getting large-scale tattoos. One day before the Red Moon arrived, he officially moved into Blackstone Base. The command center fell silent once again. Everyone had reached the same conclusion. Alex had known the apocalypse was coming. Continue the investigation, find out everything about the 2 people with him, and immediately add Alex to the list of highest strategic priority targets. Send a special commissioner to Zhangzhou at once. The morning after wiping out the Qinglong gang, Alex was relaxing in the constant temperature swimming pool inside the underground shelter. With his eyes closed, he quietly absorbed the massive amount of essence and energy gathered inside his body. Suddenly, beep, 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 the alarm sounded once again. "Brother Alex, more idiots are here looking for death." Shu Xiaodao hurried over and handed him a monitoring tablet. "But there aren't many this time, only a few dozen. Their leader looks kind of familiar." Alex took the tablet and glanced at the screen. A cold smile appeared on his face. Dozens of ragged men carrying cheap weapons were making their way toward Blackstone Base through the mountain road. The man leading them looked filthy and exhausted, but Alex recognized him immediately. It was Shu Rue, the son of the richest man in Zhangzhou and Alex's sworn enemy from his previous life. On the night the Red Moon appeared, Shu Rue had been live-streaming from his mansion in the city center. After seeing his pet mutate, he had panicked and run for his life. Alex hadn't expected him to survive the early days of the apocalypse by awakening the level 1 3-headed hellhound tattoo on his back. Over the past few days, the city center had completely fallen under the control of mutated beasts. His luxurious mountain villa had already been destroyed. After sacrificing dozens of bodyguards, Shu Rue had barely managed to escape and make it all the way to Blackstone Base. Shu Rue knew very well that there was only one truly safe place left in all of Zhangzhou, Alex's mountain shelter. So he came all the way there, like a desperate, mad dog. "Alex, I know you're hiding inside." Shu Rue stopped about 50 meters away and pointed at the surveillance camera, laughing like a lunatic. "Do you really think hiding inside this turtle shell will keep you safe? I've awakened the power of the Hellhound. I'm a real awakener now. Today, I'll break down your gate and take your 5-clawed golden dragon power for myself." Watching Su Rui act like a clown on the monitor, Alex stepped out of the pool and calmly dried himself with a towel. He gets an A-rank totem and thinks he's invincible. Su Xiaodao stepped forward. "Brother Alex, let me go kill him." Alex shook his head. "No, I'll settle the score from my previous life myself. Open the gate." Click. The heavy titanium alloy gate slowly opened. Alex walked out alone. Su Rue laughed proudly. "So you finally came out, Alex." Alex glanced at the frightened thugs standing behind Su Rue and let out a mocking laugh. You only brought this bunch of trash? I'm enough to deal with all of you. Su Rue laughed even harder. Alex, take a good look at who I brought with me. The crowd slowly moved aside. A beautiful woman stepped out of the black mist. She wore a blood-stained red dress. Her skin was pale, and her face was just as beautiful as before, but her eyes now glowed with an eerie crimson light. The blood spider lily tattoo on her waist was blooming. Transparent crimson petals floated behind her. The strange fragrance filling the air sent chills down everyone's spine. Zhao Yuqing. She hadn't died. Not only had she survived, she had awakened a powerful totem, the Yellow Springs spider lily. The thugs nearby gradually became hypnotized just by looking at her. Some even dropped to their knees and crawled toward her. Zhao Yuqing slowly raised her hand. A crimson flower vine extended from her fingertips and wrapped around one thug's neck. Instead of resisting, the man smiled like he was completely enchanted. The next second, his face rapidly turned pale. His body began drying up. A blood spider lily slowly bloomed from his chest. Zhao Yuqing closed her eyes with a satisfied smile. The color immediately returned to her face, as if she had absorbed his life force. She opened her eyes and smiled at Alex. Didn't expect this, did you? I awakened too. Standing behind her, Shu Rui smiled coldly. Alex, you always thought you were so amazing. Zhao Yuqing is now an A-rank mental awakener. The fragrance of her spider lily can control dozens of awakeners at once. I really want to see. Can you bring yourself to attack the woman you once loved? Zhao Yuqing smiled faintly and slowly walked toward Alex. With every step she took, blood-red spider lilies bloomed beneath her feet. The sweet fragrance in the air grew stronger and stronger. Suddenly, the world in front of Alex changed. He was back in his previous life. The blood-red moon hung silently in the sky. Alex found himself lying in a field of ruined buildings, his entire body covered in blood. A three-headed hellhound was slowly walking toward him. Zhao Yuqing knelt beside him, tears streaming down her face. Alex, I was wrong. I should never have left you in my previous life. I should never have trusted Shu Rui. If I had another chance, I'd stay by your side forever. She reached out, trying to touch his face. Her voice was filled with pain and regret. Alex, can you forgive me? Alex looked at her calmly. Then, he laughed. Zhao Yuqing, your illusion is terrible. The expression on Zhao Yuqing's face instantly changed. Alex took a step forward. Boom! The 9 dragons pulling the coffin avatar appeared behind him. The shadows of 9 black dragons opened their crimson eyes at the same time. The ancient black coffin floated silently in the air. The blood-red chains wrapped around it began to tremble. A terrifying, forbidden pressure descended from the sky. The ruins, the blood moon, Zhao Yuqing, the entire illusion shattered like broken glass. Reality returned. Zhao Yuqing's face turned deathly pale. She staggered backward and coughed up a mouthful of blood. Behind her, the spider lily avatar trembled violently as its crimson petals began falling away. Impossible! She stared at Alex in disbelief. My Yellow Springs spider lily fragrance can draw out the deepest desire hidden in a person's heart. How did it have no effect on you? Alex looked at her with cold eyes. My deepest desire? He gave a faint, mocking smile. You actually think you're worthy of being my deepest desire? Zhao Yuqing's face instantly lost all color. Those words hurt far more than any attack. She bit her lip as panic filled her eyes. Alex, you used to love me. You're just still angry with me, aren't you? Tears welled up in her eyes. Putting on a pitiful expression, she pleaded, I know I made mistakes, but back then I didn't know the apocalypse was coming. I thought you'd really gone crazy. Alex, just let me into the shelter. I can stay with you again. I'm an A-rank awakener now. I can help you. I can control survivors. I'll be useful to you. You lying woman, Shu Rui suddenly shouted. Weren't you just saying you'd help me kill him? Zhao Yuqing spun around and screamed at him. Shut up! If you hadn't mocked Alex during that live stream, if you hadn't made me laugh at him, I wouldn't have ended up like this. And when you were running for your life, did you even look back at me once? You have no right to blame me. Shu Rui trembled with rage. Alex simply watched the two of them bark at each other like stray dogs. He found the whole scene unbelievably boring. In his previous life, these two people had been the reason for his death. Looking at them now, he couldn't help but find it laughable. Alex, I was wrong. I really was. Please, just give me one more chance. Zhao Yuqing reached out to grab Alex's hand. Before she could even touch him, boom! An invisible pressure blasted her backward. Looking down at her, Alex spoke in a calm voice. You don't regret what you did. You just realized that Shu Rui can't protect you anymore, and I'm stronger than him. Zhao Yuqing's body trembled. The tears in her eyes froze. Alex slowly raised his right hand. The black coffin avatar behind him opened slightly. A black chain shot out like lightning and wrapped around the spider lily totem on Zhao Yuqing's waist. Spider lilies are beautiful, but you planted yours in the wrong place. As soon as he finished speaking, the black coffin chain tightened. Zhao Yuqing screamed in pain. The blood-red flower seed behind her shattered instantly, and countless spider lily shadows withered away. The 9-dragon coffin forcefully sealed the totem power inside her body. Her glowing red eyes returned to normal, and all her strength disappeared as she collapsed to the ground. My power! Alex, you sealed my power. She looked at him in despair. Alex replied coldly, Killing someone like you isn't even worth lifting my hand a second time. Shu Rui looked at Zhao Yuqing after her power had been sealed. There wasn't a trace of pity in his eyes, only hatred. Useless woman. You couldn't even trap one man. Zhao Yuqing stared at him in disbelief. Shu Rui, what did you just say? Shu Rui kicked the ground beside her and shouted, If it wasn't for a cursed woman like you, I would have never ended up like this. The last bit of hope in Zhao Yuqing's eyes disappeared. Watching the two of them, Alex only felt bored. The apocalypse never changes people. It only reveals the ugliest parts of their hearts much faster. He slowly turned toward Shu Rui. The show is over. Now it's time to settle things between us. All the confidence on Shu Rui's face disappeared, replaced by pure fear. He finally understood that the level 1 Hellhound power he had been so proud of meant nothing in front of Alex. No, I'm an A rank awakened. I'm the strongest person in the world. Shu Rui completely lost his mind. He threw his head back and let out a beast-like roar. His clothes tore apart, and a massive 3-headed hellhound avatar, over 5 meters tall and covered in black flames, appeared behind him. His body swelled, muscles bulged, and both hands turned into sharp wolf claws. Reeking of sulfur, he charged straight at Alex. Die! The middle head of the hellhound opened its mouth and unleashed a terrifying blast of black flames. Facing the massive attack, Alex didn't even bother to dodge. To him, an A rank wasn't even worth comparing to a dog. He took a deep breath. Inside his body, the terrifying blood energy, transformed by origin power, roared like a raging river. Alex didn't use his avatar or totem power. He relied only on his own physical strength. He pulled his right fist back and threw it forward like a cannonball. Boom! The terrifying force of his punch split the black flames in half. Without slowing down, his fist slammed into the hellhound's middle head. Crack! The sound of breaking bones echoed through the air. Shu Rui's right arm snapped instantly, and the remaining force crashed into his chest. He spat out a mouthful of blood as his huge body was sent flying like a broken kite before crashing heavily onto the ground. You didn't even use your avatar. How can you be this strong? Holding his crushed chest, Shu Rui looked at Alex with genuine fear for the first time. Alex slowly walked over and looked down at him. Alex, I was wrong. Please, spare me. Alex looked at him without a trace of emotion. In the last life, you pushed me into the beast tide. This time, I won't do the same to you. Shu Rui's eyes widened in fear, but that would be far too easy. Alex slowly raised his hand. The 9-dragon coffin avatar appeared behind him once again. The black coffin opened slightly, and another black chain shot out, piercing straight into Shu Rui's 3-headed hellhound totem. Shu Rui screamed in agony. The 3-headed hellhound avatar struggled wildly, but the 9 black dragon shadows held it down without moving. Crack! A large crack spread across the surface of the totem. Shu Rui's power rapidly drained away. His strength faded like a receding tide, and his body returned to that of an ordinary human. He collapsed to the ground, weak, injured, and completely powerless. My power! Alex! Give me my power back! He screamed like a madman. Alex looked at him coldly. You loved acting like a dog. From today on, you're not even worthy of being one. The thugs watching nearby all changed their expressions. In the apocalypse, the weak earned no respect. On the way here, Shu Rui had sacrificed countless people just to save himself. Now it was finally his turn to pay. Painful screams soon echoed through the area. Alex didn't even bother to look back. A few moments later, Shu Rui's voice disappeared forever. Only a faint level 1 golden core remained on the ground. Alex picked it up and stored it inside his half-life space. The man who had pushed him into the beast tide in his previous life wasn't even strong enough to make him fight seriously in this one. Just then, a loud rumble came from the sky. The thunderous sound of helicopter rotors grew closer. Alex looked up. 3 armed military helicopters were circling above the shelter. They slowly began to descend. The cabin door opened, and 2 fully armed Special Forces squads quickly rushed out, spreading to both sides. A senior commander followed behind them, with several guards. Mr. Alex, greetings. I'm Deputy Commander Lei Zhan from the Eastern region. I came here under the Supreme Commander's orders to meet you. Alex smiled slightly. Commander Lei, you've come a long way. Beasts are everywhere outside, yet you still made it here. That means the command center is still doing everything it can to keep things under control. A look of surprise flashed across Lei Zhan's face. He had expected someone as powerful as Alex to avoid working with the military. But Alex knew better than anyone that, during the apocalypse, the military was humanity's last hope. If they hadn't been holding the front lines, Jiangzhou would have fallen long ago. Lei Zhan took a deep breath. Mr. Alex, our drone footage showed you killing the S-class blood python. Your strength is far beyond every known awakened in the command center. The Supreme Commander hopes to establish the highest level of wartime cooperation with you. We won't force you to join the military, and we won't take over Blackstone Base. We only ask that whenever Dragon Nation faces a major crisis, you help however you can. Alex nodded. All right. Lei Zhan's eyes lit up. Alex continued. But I'm used to working independently. I can't become part of a normal chain of command. Blackstone Base will remain an independent allied base. The military will maintain order, evacuate survivors, and build defensive lines. I'll share intelligence and eliminate high-level beasts whenever needed. We'll exchange resources and information. That's the most efficient way. Lei Zhan nodded seriously. I'll report your proposal to the Supreme Commander, exactly as you said. Alex continued. Since we're partners now, I'll give you an important piece of intelligence. In 3 days, at exactly 2 a.m., the first large-scale marine beast tide will erupt from the Eastern Sea. A level 5 deep-sea ancient dragon will lead more than 100,000 sea beasts in an attack on Jiangsu. If heavy firepower isn't prepared beforehand, Jiangsu and the entire eastern region will suffer devastating losses. Lei Zhan's face immediately changed. Cold sweat ran down his back. He searched Alex's face for any sign of deception, but all he saw was calm confidence. Mr. Alex, is this information reliable? Alex answered calmly. I wouldn't joke about the lives of 3 million people. Lei Zhan immediately replied. I'll report this to the Supreme Commander right away and mobilize the entire eastern region to prepare its defenses. Alex nodded before adding, I also need some heavy military equipment. High-precision machine tools, special alloy materials, 10 warship-grade automatic close defense cannon systems, and several portable cloud bombs. I'm not asking for them for free. In return, the military will receive information on high-level beasts before anyone else. Lei Zhan thought for a moment. Those are strategic military resources. I'll need approval from Commander Longshui. But in my opinion, this is a worthwhile deal. Alex nodded. Good. Lei Zhan gave him a respectful salute. Mr. Alex, thank you for your cooperation. Alex replied, the military should protect humanity's last line of defense. I'll deal with the monsters you can't handle yet. Everyone has their own role. Leijon lowered his head respectfully. I'll deliver those exact words to the Supreme Commander. As Alex watched him leave, his eyes grew serious. The level 5 Beast King was the key to unlocking the first chain of the 9-dragon coffin. No matter what, he had to obtain the Deep Sea Ancient Dragon's golden box. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. Heavy transport helicopters continuously delivered special machine tools, close defense cannon systems, cloud bombs, and other strategic supplies to Blackstone Base. Alex stored everything inside his half-life space. The base's defensive strength increased several times over. At exactly 2 a.m. on the 4th night, Alex sat in a large leather chair inside the monitoring room, holding a cup of hot black coffee. Brother Alex, it's raining heavily outside. But why is the rain black? Chu Xiaodao asked while staring at the surveillance screens. Alex took a sip of coffee and looked outside with a calm expression. It started. At the same moment, on Jiangsu's eastern coastal defense line, Leijon stared at the radar screen. Countless red dots were rushing toward the coast like a tsunami. Cold sweat covered his face. Alex's warning had been right. The eastern sea beast tide had arrived. Fire! Use everything we've got! Don't let them reach the city! There are 3 million survivors behind us! The next second, the artillery roared. Thousands of shells streaked across the sky before exploding along the coastline. The dark night lit up like daylight, but when the illumination flares reached the sky, every soldier on the front line fell into despair. Tens of thousands of mutated sea beasts were charging across the waves. Some giant mutant crabs were as large as armored vehicles. Others were amphibious fishmen covered in poisonous spikes. There were also massive swarms of sea snakes that kept charging forward despite the non-stop bombardment. Just 10 minutes after the battle began, the first defensive line completely collapsed. Commander Lei, we can't stop them. There are too many beasts. The entire defense line is falling apart. Leijon pulled out the pistol at his waist. His eyes had turned blood red. Order every soldier to fight. Even if we all die today, we must protect the civilians. Just as the military prepared for its final stand, the ground suddenly shook violently. An overwhelming pressure spread from the direction of the deep sea. It was so terrifying that no words could describe it. Across Jiangzhou, all 3 million survivors hiding inside ruins and underground shelters suddenly felt a crushing pain in their chests. It was as if a massive mountain had been placed on top of their hearts. Even breathing became difficult. What is that? Leijon looked toward the distant night sky in despair. At that moment, a gigantic skeletal wing tore through the thick black clouds. Then, emerging from the sky, a terrifying bone dragon, over 100 meters long, slowly descended from the clouds. The massive creature was surrounded by a thick, deep-sea mist. Its eyes glowed like 2 giant red lanterns, radiating a chilling aura of death. It was the level 5 Beast King, the deep-sea bone dragon. In the early days of the apocalypse, a level 5 beast was considered unstoppable, a monster powerful enough to destroy an entire city on its own. The deep-sea bone dragon suddenly let out a roar that shook the sky. It opened its enormous jaws, and a stream of black dragon breath erupted from the endless darkness within. Boom! The black flames swallowed everything within a 1-kilometer radius. Artillery positions vanished in an instant. It's over. Jiangzhou is finished. Despair spread throughout the city. Countless people closed their eyes and waited for death. At that very moment, inside Blackstone's shelter, Alex calmly placed his coffee cup on the table. On the monitor, the massive bone dragon flew proudly through the black clouds. There wasn't a hint of fear in Alex's eyes, only excitement. Chu Xiaodao's expression changed. Brother Alex, you're going out? That's a level 5 Beast King. Jiang Xinyi grabbed his arm. You don't have to take such a huge risk. Alex gently patted her hand and smiled. My 9-dragon coffin is still missing 1 key to unlock its first chain, and I happen to like that giant lizard's golden box. He turned toward the elevator and spoke as he walked away. Take care of the house. Oh, and make me a cup of tea. By the time it gets cold, I'll be back. Meanwhile, above Jiangzhou, The deep-sea bone dragon continued raining black dragon breath across the battlefield, destroying one defensive line after another. Leijon closed his eyes and quietly waited for death. Then suddenly, a pillar of black light shot into the sky from the direction of Blackstone Base. The black light wasn't cold. It carried an ancient, majestic aura. The thick black clouds were forced apart. What is that? Leijon immediately opened his eyes. All 3 million survivors in Jiangzhou, along with the remaining frontline soldiers, turned toward Blackstone Base. Right before their eyes, a tall young man was calmly walking into the sky through the pillar of black and gold light. He wasn't using any flying equipment. He simply walked through the air as if invisible stairs were beneath his feet. "It's Mr. Alex! Alex is here!" Leijon trembled with excitement. As Alex continued rising, the 9-dragon coffin totem fully appeared behind him. 9 enormous black dragons spread across the sky. Each dragon was hundreds of meters long. Their blood-red eyes opened at the same time. Together, they pulled an ancient black coffin that floated high above Jiangzhou. The blood-red chains wrapped around the coffin began to tremble. An ancient, supreme, forbidden aura swept across the entire city like a tidal wave. Under the pressure of that terrifying aura, the 100,000 mutated sea beasts that had been attacking like mad suddenly let out frightened cries. One after another, they collapsed to the ground and began trembling. "Mr. Alex from Blackstone Base! He's here to save Jiangzhou!" Countless survivors peeked out from the ruins. Their eyes were filled with shock, relief, and respect. Alex stood 1,000 meters above the ground, calmly looking at the deep-sea bone dragon in the distance. Compared to the giant beast, which stretched over 100 meters long, he looked no bigger than an ant. Yet the 9-dragon coffin behind him looked even older, more mysterious, and far more terrifying. It was like something out of a nightmare. The deep-sea bone dragon sensed his challenge. Its blood-red eyes locked onto Alex as it released a roar that shook the heavens. Opening its abyss-like jaws, it fired a black dragon breath 10 times stronger than before, hurtling toward him like a meteor. Alex smiled. Just cheap tricks. The Pangu totem on his chest suddenly lit up. A sky-splitting battle aura burst out. Heaven and Earth Transformation. The Pangu avatar appeared behind him. Facing the incoming black dragon breath, Alex didn't move an inch. He slowly raised his right fist. The Pangu totem rumbled like rolling thunder as creation power gathered around his fist. The next second, he stepped forward. Boom! His punch collided head-on with the black dragon breath. The sky seemed to split apart. The overwhelming creation power tore the black flames cleanly in half. Massive waves of fire shot to both sides, crashing into the distant ruins and carving thousands of meters of burning trenches across the earth. Alex remained standing calmly between the 2 walls of fire. Behind him, the Pangu avatar slowly raised its head. Its once transparent body became more and more solid. Dark, golden, divine light flowed from the Pangu totem on Alex's chest, spreading throughout the avatar. Alex looked at the bone dragon and smiled. "My turn now, big lizard." As soon as he spoke, the Pangu totem fully awakened. The Pangu avatar behind him grew dozens of meters taller. Its body was as massive as a mountain. Its aura was ancient and endless, as if a giant from the age of chaos had returned. A gigantic battle axe formed in its hands, created entirely from creation power. Dark, golden runes lit up across the axe blade. Alex slowly raised his arm. Behind him, the Pangu avatar mirrored the exact same movement. Every action of Alex and his avatar was perfectly synchronized. For the first time, the deep-sea bone dragon felt the fear of death. Terror appeared in its blood-red eyes. It tried to retreat, but the moment the Pangu avatar locked onto it, the surrounding black mist froze in place. Alex took 1 step forward. His voice echoed like thunder. "Pangu, split heaven." He brought his hand down. At the same moment, the Pangu avatar swung the creation axe with all its strength. Boom! A dark golden axe light, hundreds of meters long, sliced through the black mist. It looked as if the entire sky had been split into two. The deep-sea bone dragon tried to escape, but it was already too late. The axe light crashed into one of its massive bone wings. Crack! The wing shattered instantly. The bone dragon let out a painful roar. It lost its balance, and its enormous body fell toward the ground like a meteor. Alex didn't give it a single moment to recover. In one step, he turned into a streak of dark golden light and appeared above the dragon. The Pangu avatar moved with him. Alex clenched his fist. At the same time, the Pangu avatar gripped the creation axe with both hands. The bone dragon struggled to lift its head. For the first time, its eyes were filled only with fear. Alex spoke coldly. "Break." His fist came down. At the exact same moment, the creation axe slammed down as well. Boom! The axe struck the bone dragon's head directly. Terrifying creation power exploded inside its skull. The earth shook violently. A gigantic crater, dozens of meters deep, formed outside Jiangzhou. Rocks blasted into the sky. The bone dragon's massive body sank into the center of the crater. The light in its blood-red eyes quickly faded away. The Pangu avatar slowly disappeared. The dark golden light also faded. Alex stood quietly at the edge of the crater. The Pangu totem on his chest still glowed faintly. The level 5 overlord, deep-sea bone dragon, was dead. The battle had ended so quickly that almost no one could process what had happened. From the moment Alex took flight to the moment he killed the level 5 Beast King, less than 3 minutes had passed. The black mist cleared. The red light of the blood moon once again covered the land. Alex canceled heaven and earth transformation and returned to his normal size. He landed on the dragon's massive head. Using his fingers like blades, he sliced open its skull. Inside was a basketball-sized level 5 golden box, glowing with black and gold light. Feeling the vast ocean-like energy inside it, Alex smiled in satisfaction and stored it inside his half-life space. Below, the 100,000 sea beasts completely lost their will to fight after their Beast King died. They turned and fled back toward the sea. Jiangzhou had been saved. "Mr. Alex, thank you for saving the 3 million people of Jiangzhou." Grateful cheers echoed across the entire city. Standing on the dragon's head, with the level 5 golden box in his hand, Alex ignored the praise. He looked at Lei Zhan and said calmly, "Commander Lei, don't thank me. If the military hadn't held back the beast tide on the front line, Jiangzhou wouldn't have lasted until I arrived." Lei Zhan fell silent. Alex continued, "I didn't win this battle alone. The soldiers who gave their lives on the front lines saved this city too." Lei Zhan's eyes turned red. Several officers standing behind him quietly lowered their heads. Alex put the level 5 golden box into his half-life space. "Now evacuate the survivors and repair the defensive line. The beast tide's retreat was only temporary. The real disaster is still ahead." Lei Zhan nodded seriously. "Mr. Alex, don't worry. The Order forces will secure Jiangzhou." Alex replied, "If a beast above level 5 appears, inform me immediately. I'll handle all high-level beasts." With that, he didn't waste another second. A black and gold light flashed, and Alex turned into a streak of light, flying back toward Blackstone Shelter. The shelter's massive gates closed behind him. Back inside the monitoring room, Alex picked up the cup of tea waiting on the table and took a sip. Perfect. It's still at the right temperature. Deep inside the lowest core chamber of Blackstone Shelter, Alex sat cross-legged on a special meditation platform. In his hand was the level 5 deep-sea bone dragon's golden box. The energy inside it was hundreds of times greater than the S-class blood python's golden box. If even the military's strongest awakened tried to absorb it directly, their body would explode instantly. But Alex wasn't worried. Without hesitation, he absorbed it. A flood of black and gold energy rushed into his body. Black frost spread across his skin. His bones creaked under the overwhelming pressure. Alex let out a cold chuckle. "Just a dead lizard, and it thinks it can challenge me?" The Pangu avatar inside his body suddenly opened its eyes. Its creation power forcefully suppressed the violent black energy. Then it crushed and refined it into pure origin energy. That energy continuously strengthened Alex's body. At the same time, the 9-dragon coffin totem on his back activated. The 9 black dragons looked as though they were swimming beneath his skin. The first blood-red chain wrapped around the ancient black coffin began shaking violently. A faint, cracking sound echoed deep within his soul. Then, crack! The first chain finally broke. Boom! An endless wave of black and gold energy burst out from inside the coffin. Darkness filled Alex's vision. In the deepest part of that endless darkness, the ancient black coffin slowly began to open. At that moment, he gained a brand new ability. From now on, he could directly devour beast golden boxes, beast remnant energy, and sealed totem power. The black coffin would refine those energies and use them to strengthen his body, his half-life space, and his 4 forbidden totems. In other words, as long as he had enough energy to absorb, he could continue growing stronger without stopping. After the deep-sea bone dragon's golden box was completely refined, Alex's physical body reached level 5 peak. His half-life space expanded once again. At its far edge, a completely new region appeared. It was filled with endless black darkness. It looked as if the shadow of the ancient black coffin had settled there, silent, lifeless, bottomless. Alex instinctively knew that as more chains of the 9-dragon coffin broke, this darkness region would become even more mysterious and terrifying than the half-life space itself. He slowly opened his eyes. The bones throughout his body rumbled like distant thunder. A faint smile appeared on his face. Coffin Devour. Not bad. From today onward, every beast is nothing more than an energy source for me. The next morning, Alex sat cross-legged on the alloy floor of Blackstone Base's underground training hall. After refining the deep-sea bone dragon's golden box, the blood energy inside his body had become several times stronger. The first chain of the 9-dragon coffin had already been unlocked. Its new ability, Coffin Devour, had completely fused with his body. Now, ordinary golden boxes could barely improve his strength anymore. If he wanted to become stronger, he needed to hunt even more powerful beasts. At the very least, level 4 or above. Just then, Chu Xiaodao walked in, his face full of excitement. "Brother Alex, you killed that level 5 ancient dragon by yourself last night. Xinyi and I barely did anything. If this keeps going, we'll just end up being a burden to you." A moment later, Jiang Xinyi entered the room. She was wearing a black combat suit with her long hair tied back. Her expression was as calm as ever, but the determination in her eyes was obvious. "I need real combat too. Simply absorbing golden boxes won't make me truly strong." Alex looked at both of them and nodded. "I've been thinking the same thing." Chu Xiaodao's Erlong Divine General and Nija totems were both top-tier combat totems. Jiang Xinyi's 9 Heavens Mystic Maiden totem excelled in attack, defense, purification, and battlefield support. Both of them had incredible potential. But in the apocalypse, potential and real combat power weren't the same. True experts were forged on battlefields filled with beast corpses. Alex stood up. "Then let's head out." Chu Xiaodao's eyes lit up. "Where to?" Alex opened the military's shared map of Jiangzhou. Countless red markers covered the city's ruins and the forests outside. Among them, one location stood out the most: South Jiangzhou Industrial Park. The military had already marked it as a high-risk zone. There was strong evidence that a level 4 beast nest had formed there. Alex pointed at the location. After last night's marine beast tide retreated, a large group of mutated beasts settled there. Military drones confirmed at least 3 level 4 beasts, along with a large number of level 2 and level 3 beasts. Chu Xiaodao laughed. "Perfect. Lots of monsters, lots of experience." Jiang Xinyi carefully studied the map before speaking. "South Industrial Park isn't far from the northern military camp. If those beasts spread any farther, they'll threaten the survivor evacuation route." Alex nodded. "Exactly. This mission will accomplish 2 things. We'll train ourselves while eliminating one of the military's biggest problems." Alex sent a communication request to Lei Zhan. A few seconds later, Lei Zhan's face appeared on the screen. He looked more relaxed than the previous night, though the exhaustion in his eyes was still obvious. "Mr. Alex, do you need military support?" Alex got straight to the point. South Jiangzhou Industrial Park. I'm going to clear the beast nest there. There's a level 4 beast nest inside. Lei Zhan was silent for a moment before a smile appeared on his face. Mr. Alex, we were just preparing to send reinforcements to that area. South Industrial Park contains a large number of chemical warehouses. If the beasts destroy them, the toxic gas could spread all the way to the northern military camp. If you're taking action, the military will immediately provide drone reconnaissance and secure the surrounding area. Alex nodded. Fine. You handle the outer perimeter. No one enters the industrial park. I'm taking Chu Xiaodao and Jiang Xingyi there for combat training. Lei Zhan nodded seriously. Understood. The military will secure the outer area and make sure no beast escapes. Mr. Alex, please be careful. Alex smiled faintly. I'm not the one who needs to be careful. 10 minutes later, the side gate of Blackstone Base slowly opened. A modified black, heavy-duty off-road vehicle drove out of the underground garage. Its body was covered in bulletproof armor. The tires were fitted with alloy off-road rims, and an automatic machine gun was mounted on the roof. Chu Xiaodao sat in the front passenger seat, eagerly rubbing his hands together. Jiang Xinyi sat quietly in the back. A faint, phantom image of the Mystic Heaven Divine Sword flickered in her hand. Alex got behind the wheel and pressed the accelerator. The engine roared like a beast. The black off-road vehicle sped south along the mountain road. The black mist hadn't fully cleared yet. Wrecked vehicles lined both sides of the highway, many showing signs of being torn apart by beasts. Occasionally, a few low-level mutated beasts rushed onto the road. Before they could even get close, the roof-mounted machine gun shredded them. Half an hour later, they arrived at South Industrial Park. What had once been a brightly lit industrial district had become a giant nest of monsters. Factories lay in ruins. Roads were twisted and broken. The air was filled with the sharp smell of chemicals. Chu Xiaodao opened the door and jumped out. Brother Alex, what's the plan? Alex looked toward the deepest part of the industrial park. 3 powerful auras stood out from the rest. 2 level 4 iron-armored lizards. 1 level 4 poison mist spider queen. Besides them, there were hundreds of level 2 and level 3 beasts. For Alex, none of them were a threat anymore. But for Chu Xiaodao and Jiang Xinyi, this was the perfect training ground. Alex slowly raised his hand. The 9-dragon coffin on his back gave off a faint vibration. An invisible pressure spread across the entire industrial park. Every low-level beast instantly slowed down. It felt as though a mountain had been placed on their backs. But Alex didn't kill them. He kept the pressure just strong enough to suppress the beast horde without affecting Chu Xiaodao and Jiang Xingyi. He looked at the 2 of them. I won't interfere. You'll deal with every level 2 and level 3 beast yourselves. I'll only keep the level 4 beasts suppressed. As long as your life isn't in danger, I won't help. Chu Xiaodao grinned. That's exactly what I wanted. The moment he finished speaking, the Erlong Divine Lord totem on his right arm lit up. Behind him, the phantom of a heavily armored Divine General appeared. Heavenly Eye, activate. A golden light flashed across his forehead as the phantom third eye opened. The world in front of him instantly became crystal clear. The movement patterns of both iron-armored lizards, the gaps between their scales, their muscle movements, and the weak spot beneath their bellies all became visible through the heavenly eye. Found your weakness. Gripping his 3-pointed, double-edged blade with both hands, Chu Xiaodao slammed his foot into the ground. The earth cracked like a spider's web. He shot forward like an arrow and reached the side of the first iron-armored lizard. His blade rose high. Golden light burst from its edge. Divine, armor-breaking slash. The blade came crashing down. Clang! A sharp, metallic sound echoed through the area. Chu Xiaodao's expression changed. His attack had landed perfectly in the gap between the scales. But it wasn't enough. The lizard's armor was far tougher than he had expected. The blade only sank halfway in before getting stuck against the bone armor. That's tough. The iron-armored lizard instantly turned around. Its massive tail swept toward him like a hurricane. Chu Xiaodao had no choice but to let go of his weapon and jump back. Even so, the tip of the tail clipped his chest. The impact sent him flying into an abandoned oil tanker. The tanker caved in from the collision. Caw! Blood trickled from the corner of Chu Xiaodao's mouth. He wiped it away and laughed. Nice. This is getting interesting. Alex remained standing in the distance. Jiang Xinyi instinctively looked at him. Alex calmly said, "He won't die. Let him fight." Chu Xiaodao leapt back out of the crushed tanker. There wasn't a trace of fear in his eyes, only excitement. The iron-armored lizard roared and charged at him like a speeding tank. The second lizard moved in from the side, trying to trap him between them. This time, Chu Xiaodao didn't rush in recklessly. The heavenly eye on his forehead shone even brighter. The world around him slowed down. Every step the lizards took, every movement of their scales, every twitch of their muscles, he saw everything. The first lizard lunged forward and opened its massive jaws. The foul smell of its breath hit his face. Chu Xiaodao leaned backward, narrowly dodging the bite. Then he planted one foot on the ground and slid underneath its jaw, disappearing beneath its belly. The heavenly eye instantly locked onto its target. Beneath the third soft armor plate on its belly was its heart. Holy demon slaying strike! Chu Xiaodao roared. Behind him, the Erlong Divine Lord Avatar mirrored his attack. The three-pointed, double-edged blade thrust upward from below. It pierced through the soft armor and stabbed deep into the beast's belly. The iron-armored lizard let out a painful scream as its enormous body began to thrash violently. Chu Xiaodao gritted his teeth and pulled the blade upward with all his strength. Split open. Slash. The blade tore through the beast's belly, leaving a massive wound. The huge, iron-armored lizard crashed to the ground. But Chu Xiaodao didn't even get a chance to catch his breath. The second iron-armored lizard charged from behind. Instead of attacking him, it sprinted toward a half-collapsed chemical storage factory nearby. Jiang Xinyi's expression changed. It's trying to blow up the chemical tanks. If they explode, poisonous gas will spread across the entire industrial park. Chu Xiaodao immediately looked up. The golden light in his heavenly eye shone even brighter. Trying to run? Stay right there. He drove his blade into the ground. Behind him, the Erlang Divine Lord Avatar became even more solid. A golden heavenly eye also opened on the Avatar's forehead. The two heavenly eyes connected with a beam of golden light. The next moment, the second iron-armored lizard was completely locked in place. Heavenly Eye Soul Lock. The giant beast froze. It felt as if invisible chains had wrapped around its body. It struggled wildly. Its claws dug deep trenches into the ground, but it couldn't break free. Chu Xiaodao's face quickly turned pale. The skill consumed far more energy than he could comfortably handle. Even so, excitement filled his eyes. He looked up and smiled. This attack is to send you on your way. The black mist above split apart as a massive golden blade of light descended from the sky. Among the clouds, the phantom of a gigantic, three-pointed, double-edged blade appeared. It stretched for dozens of meters, shining with brilliant golden light. Its sharp aura felt like divine judgment itself. The entire industrial park seemed to fall silent. Chu Xiaodao pulled his blade from the ground and swung it with all his strength. Divine judgment slash! The gigantic blade in the sky came crashing down. Boom! The golden blade struck the iron-armored lizard directly on the head. Its thick armor shattered instantly. The enormous beast was slammed deep into the ground. A crack dozens of meters long split the earth apart. Rocks flew into the sky as dust filled the air. When the golden light faded, the level 4 iron-armored lizard lay motionless inside a deep crater. It was dead. Chu Xiaodao looked at Alex with a grin. So, how was that move? Pretty stylish, right? Alex glanced at the enormous blade mark running through the factory before replying, Not bad, but it consumes far too much energy. Chu Xiaodao laughed. Style comes first. I'll worry about the rest later. After resting for a while, he split open both iron-armored lizards and took out 2 level 4 golden boxes. The moment they landed in his hands, the Erlong Divine Lord totem on his arm trembled slightly. The phantom heavenly eye on his forehead also flashed. After killing 2 level 4 beasts in a row, his totem had begun breaking through its bottleneck. Even so, he didn't absorb the golden boxes immediately. Using the heavenly eye and divine judgment / back-to-back had almost drained all of Chu Xiaodao's blood energy. If he forced himself to absorb a level 4 golden box right now, it wouldn't lead to a breakthrough. It would get him killed. Chu Xiaodao put both level 4 golden boxes into his backpack and laughed. "Brother Alex, I'll absorb them after we get back to the base." Alex nodded. Just then, a sharp screech echoed from the depths of the industrial park. A half-collapsed factory suddenly exploded. Dark green poison mist poured out like a tidal wave. From the rubble, a gigantic poison mist spider queen slowly crawled into view. It was as large as a truck. Its 8 spider legs were as sharp as spears. Dark green corrosive poison continuously flowed from its abdomen. Everywhere it passed, even steel pipes rusted away with hissing sounds. A level 4 poison mist spider queen. Chu Xiaodao was about to step forward when Alex raised a hand to stop him. "This one's Xinyi's." Chu Xiaodao immediately stopped. Jiang Xinyi had already tightened her grip on the Mystic Heaven Divine Sword as she calmly walked forward. Her 9 Heavens Mystic Maiden Totem naturally countered poison, corruption, and evil-type beasts. The Poison Mist Spider Queen was the perfect opponent for her breakthrough. She spoke calmly. "Leave this to me." All 8 of the Spider Queen's blood-red eyes locked onto her. The next second, its swollen abdomen expanded. Boom! A huge wave of dark green poison mist burst out and rushed toward Jiang Xinyi like a flood. She didn't retreat. 6 white wings slowly spread behind her. Pure white light flowed from her body. Mystic Maiden Purification Domain. A semi-transparent white barrier expanded around her. The poison mist hissed the moment it touched the domain. Large amounts of poison instantly turned into white smoke and disappeared. But the Spider Queen wasn't just a poison-type beast. Its 8 spider legs stabbed into the ground. The next moment, dozens of poisonous spider threads burst out from beneath the rubble, attacking Jiang Xinyi from every direction. She sliced apart the threads in front of her, but more came from the sides and behind. One thread grazed her arm. Her combat suit was instantly cut open, leaving a dark green mark on her skin. Chu Xiaodao's expression changed. "Xinyi!" Jiang Xinyi didn't even look back. She covered the wound with her left hand. The 9 Heavens Mystic Maiden Totem glowed. A soft, white light spread over the injury, rapidly purifying the poison. "I'm fine." She fixed her eyes on the Spider Queen. Her expression became even calmer. "It's not just spreading poison. It's creating a spiderweb formation." Standing in the distance, Alex smiled faintly. Jiang Xinyi's combat instincts were even better than he had expected. The Spider Queen screeched once more. All the poisonous threads spread throughout the factory ruins began glowing with dark green light. Within just a few minutes, the entire battlefield had turned into a massive web of poison. One wrong step, and Jiang Xinyi would be trapped by the poisonous threads. She slowly closed her eyes. Behind her, the 9 Heavens Mystic Maiden Avatar appeared. This time, she didn't attack. Instead, she compressed the purification domain, shrinking it to only 3 meters around her. The domain became smaller, but its purification power increased several times over. She took her first step. The glowing poison thread beneath her foot instantly turned to ash. A second step, then a third. Wherever she walked, a safe white path opened through the poisonous web. Gradually, her figure became blurry. She moved through the web like a beam of moonlight. The Spider Queen's 8 blood-red eyes spun wildly, but it couldn't lock onto her real position. Suddenly, the poison mist Spider Queen leapt into the air. Its body compressed a huge mass of poison into a single dense sphere before hurling it downward. The poisonous ball tore through the air. At that moment, Jiang Xinyi opened her eyes. The Mystic Heaven Divine Sword shone brightly. "Holy light, break!" She swung her sword. A streak of white sword light split the poison ball cleanly in half. The poisonous liquid crashed to both sides, melting 2 huge craters into the ground. But by then, Jiang Xinyi had already passed through the rain of poison and appeared directly beneath the Spider Queen. She gripped her sword with both hands. The 6 white wings behind her folded together. All of her purification power gathered along the edge of her blade. For a brief moment, the only thing visible was that brilliant white sword light. 9 heavens, purification, slash. The white blade shot into the sky. The enormous body of the poison mist Spider Queen was cut cleanly in 2. It let out a final scream. Its 8 legs thrashed wildly. But the purification power had already spread through its wounds. Every poison sac inside its body was completely burned away. Boom! The Spider Queen crashed to the ground. Before any poison could spread, the 9 heavens mystic maiden domain completely purified it. The level 4 poison mist Spider Queen was dead. A dark green level 4 golden box rolled out from its head. Jiang Xinyi bent down and picked it up. A soft white light glowed in her hand. The poisonous aura surrounding the golden box was instantly purified. The moment she held it, the 9 heavens mystic maiden avatar behind her trembled slightly. The poison energy inside the golden box was naturally rejected by her totem. At the same time, the totem's purification power continued suppressing and cleansing it. Jiang Xinyi's aura shook slightly, but she didn't absorb the golden box. The energy inside a level 4 golden box was already extremely violent. On top of that, this one came from the poison mist Spider Queen, and traces of corruption still remained inside it. Absorbing it now would be dangerous. At best, she would be seriously injured. At worst, her totem could become corrupted. She carefully stored the golden box away and looked at Alex. Alex nodded. Keep it for now. After we return to the base, I'll completely remove the remaining corruption from it. Jiang Xinyi nodded. All right. Chu Xiaodao stared at her in surprise. That was amazing, Xinyi. That sword strike was even more stylish than mine. Jiang Xinyi sheathed the Mystic Heaven Divine Sword and calmly replied, Every skill has its own purpose. Chu Xiaodao laughed. That's true. Alex walked over to the 2 of them. Do you know what your biggest mistakes were during that fight? Chu Xiaodao scratched his head. Me? Alex nodded. The iron-armored lizard's defense was much stronger than you expected. You used your strongest attack without properly testing its defense first. That's why your blade got stuck. If that tail had hit you with its full strength, at least 3 of your ribs would have been broken. Remember that. Then Alex turned to Jiang Xinyi. And you relied too much on your purification domain. You can purify poison, but spider threads and battlefield traps aren't made entirely of poison. When fighting corruption-type beasts, don't focus only on the poison. Pay attention to how they're controlling the battlefield. Jiang Xinyi nodded seriously. I understand. Alex continued. Keep your golden boxes for now. Low-level golden boxes are useful for stabilizing your realm, but never absorb a level 3 or level 4 golden box directly on the battlefield. Chu Xiaodao looked confused. Why? I felt like my Erlong totem was about to evolve just now. Alex explained. That was totem resonance. It means your bottleneck has already started to loosen. But a golden box doesn't only contain energy, it also contains the beast's violent will and traces of corruption. The lower the level, the weaker those effects are. But if you absorb a high-level golden box without refining it first, the best outcome is totem backlash. The worst outcome is your destiny becoming corrupted. Jiang Xinyi looked at the poison mist Spider Queen's golden box in her hand. Although most of its poison had already been purified, dark green energy still swirled inside. She immediately understood what Alex meant. So it has to be refined first. Alex nodded. Exactly. Once we're back at the base, I'll use Coffin Devour to refine them. I'll remove the corruption and the beast's violent will. Only pure totem energy will remain. After that, you can absorb them safely and achieve a stable breakthrough. They collected every golden box inside South Industrial Park. There were several hundred level 1 golden boxes, more than 20 level 3 golden boxes, and 3 level 4 golden boxes. Jiang Xinyi received the Poison Mist Spider Queen's golden box. Chu Xiaodao took the 2 iron-armored lizard golden boxes. Just then, Lei Zhan's video call came through. Drone footage was playing behind him, and the relief on his face was obvious. Mr. Alex, the South Industrial Park beast nest has been completely cleared. The chemical pollution threat to the northern military camp has also been eliminated. Thank you to you and your 2 companions for your help. Alex nodded. They needed real combat training anyway. Lei Jian was silent for a moment before giving a bitter smile. Mr. Alex, you make it sound easy. For the military, that beast nest was considered an extremely high-risk target. Alex looked at Chu Xiaodao and Jiang Xinyi. After the battle, both of their auras had become much stronger and far more stable. The results of this training had exceeded his expectations. Alex turned back to Lei Jian. If you discover any more level 4 or higher beast nests, send us the coordinates immediately. As long as they don't interfere with our own plans, we'll handle them. Lei Jian nodded without hesitation. Understood. The call ended. Alex looked toward the distant patches of black mist. South Industrial Park had only been the beginning. Countless beast nests still surrounded Jiangsu. For ordinary survivors, they were death zones. For Alex and his team, they were the perfect training grounds. But now wasn't the time to keep hunting. Chu Xiaodao and Jiang Xinyi had just finished a difficult battle. Their bottlenecks had already broken. Now, it was time to turn those golden boxes into real strength. After returning to Blackstone Base, Alex raised his right hand. The 9-dragon coffin on his back grew slightly warm. Coffin Devour activated. The shadow of the black coffin briefly appeared behind him. Thin streams of black mist slowly flowed out of the 3 level 4 golden boxes. They were the remaining corruption and violent will left behind by the beasts. A normal awakened would have to fight against those forces with their own willpower while absorbing a golden box. If they succeeded, they would become stronger. If they failed, their totem would suffer a backlash. But before the 9-dragon coffin, that corruption was nothing more than food. The black coffin trembled slightly and swallowed every trace of impurity. The light inside all 3 golden boxes became purer than ever. Alex handed the 2 iron-armored lizard golden boxes to Chu Xiaodao. He gave the Poison Mist Spider Queen's golden box to Jiang Xinyi. Chu Xiaodao accepted them with a grin. Thanks, Brother Alex. Jiang Xinyi also nodded politely. Thank you. The next moment, both of them began absorbing their golden boxes. Chu Xiaodao changed first. The Erlong Divine Lord totem on his right arm seemed to come alive. A thin crack appeared between his eyebrows. From within it, the shadow of the heavenly eye, glowing with golden destructive light, slowly opened. Behind him, the armored Erlong Divine Lord avatar became far more solid than before. Jiang Xingyi's transformation was even more remarkable. The energy from the Poison Mist Spider Queen's golden box was continuously purified by the 9 Heavens Mystic Maiden totem before being absorbed. The dark green energy transformed into pure white mystic light the moment it entered her body. Behind her, the 9 Heavens Mystic Maiden avatar unfolded into 6 enormous white energy wings. At the same time, a brand new Mystic Heaven Divine Sword slowly began to take shape in her hand. A cold, divine aura flowed from the newly formed sword. Half an hour later, both of their auras surged at the same time. Chu Xiaodao was the first to open his eyes. His strength rose from level 4 early stage to level 4 mid stage, then to level 4 late stage, before finally stabilizing at level 4 peak. Jiang Xinyi's aura continued rising as well. Her 9 Heavens Mystic Maiden avatar became even more lifelike. In the end, she also reached level 4 peak. Unable to contain his excitement, Chu Xiaodao slammed his fist into the ground. Boom! A deep crater appeared in the alloy floor. Now this is level 4 peak. I feel like I can beat anyone right now. Jiang Xinyi also opened her eyes. She wasn't nearly as excited as Chu Xiaodao, but the happiness in her eyes was obvious. My 9 Heavens purification domain has expanded to 3 times its previous size. If we run into large-scale poison, miasma, or mental corruption beasts again, I can create an entire safe zone. Alex nodded in satisfaction. Just then, another video call from Lei Jian appeared. On the screen, he looked at the 3 of them, unable to hide the shock in his eyes. Mr. Alex, the high-risk beast nest at South Industrial Park has been completely eliminated. The pressure on the northern military camp has been greatly reduced. The Dragon Marshal has personally asked me to thank you. Alex simply nodded. All right. After the call ended, Chu Xiaodao stretched lazily. Brother Alex, let's go hunt more monsters tomorrow. Alex looked at the constant stream of national beast alerts appearing on the command screen. He spoke calmly. There's no need to rush around Jiangzhou anymore. It's time to see what's happening in the other war zones. Inside Blackstone Base's underground command room, the newly connected National High-Level Beast Intelligence System was continuously updating. Red alerts flashed across the screen one after another. Most of the high-risk beast zones around Jiangzhou had already been cleared. Chu Xiaodao and Jiang Xingyi had both broken through in real combat and reached level 4 peak. But it still wasn't enough. Almost every major war zone across Dragon Nation was in crisis. Beijing, the northwest, the southern coast. Emergency alerts kept appearing everywhere. Among them, one warning stood out the most. Above the southwest mountain range, an enormous, abnormal thundercloud covered the sky. Chu Xiaodao froze with a piece of beef jerky halfway to his mouth. Brother Alex, this is insane. Jiangzhou has barely stabilized, and the rest of the country is already falling apart. Jiang Xingyi stood silently in front of the giant screen. Her eyes were fixed on the southwest region. A bright red marker blinked rapidly on the map. Every time it flashed, the surrounding blue military defense markers became dimmer. Just then, another communication request came in. Lei Zhan's face appeared on the screen. He looked completely exhausted. His combat uniform was covered in mud and gunpowder stains. Mr. Alex, the Southwest War Zone is requesting emergency support. Lei Zhan quickly brought up the frontline footage. The giant screen instantly switched to a live view of the Southwest battlefield. It was a mountain city built along steep cliffs. Massive thunderclouds hung low over the city. Heavy rain poured down. But it wasn't ordinary rain. The storm was mixed with black corruption mist and blue-purple lightning. Every drop that struck an armored vehicle exploded with an ear-piercing crack. The flooded streets had become one giant electrical grid. Burned-out tanks lay scattered along the roads. Countless soldiers endured the deadly thunder poison as they escorted survivors toward the northern tunnel evacuation route. The camera suddenly shook. A young soldier was sprinting toward an evacuation vehicle while carrying an unconscious little girl in his arms. Her face was pale. She clutched a half-rotted doll tightly against her chest. "Hurry! Get the child into the vehicle first!" The soldier had just placed the girl inside when the water beneath his feet suddenly lit up with blue-purple lightning. "Watch out!" An older soldier nearby rushed forward without hesitation and shoved him toward the vehicle. The next instant, lightning exploded. The elderly soldier was blasted through the air and crashed into a pile of ruins. White smoke rose from his protective suit. Even then, his trembling hand still pointed toward the convoy. "Forget about me. Get the child out first." Inside the vehicle, the little girl woke up. She pressed herself against the window, staring at the fallen soldier outside. Her voice cracked as she cried, "Uncle!" 2 rearguard soldiers immediately rushed out to save him, but the floodwater was still alive with violent lightning. The moment one of them stepped into the water, sparks burst from his armor. He dropped to his knees. The medic's eyes turned red as he shouted for help. The convoy commander clenched his fists. His own eyes were red, but he still forced himself to give the order. "The final evacuation convoy will keep moving. The rear guard will handle the rescue. Medical team, stand by. All vehicles, move. If we stop now, everyone will die inside the thunderfield." The piece of beef jerky slipped from Chu Xiaodao's hand onto the table. The smile on his face was gone. Jiang Xingyi's expression also turned cold. The camera pulled farther back. At the edge of the city, an enormous monster slowly walked through the ruins. It stood over 80 meters tall. It looked like a gigantic lizard, but far more terrifying than any ordinary reptile. Its entire body was covered in blue-black scales marked with glowing thunder patterns. Every step released chains of crackling lightning across the ground. One armored vehicle failed to retreat in time. With a casual sweep of its tail, the monster sent it flying. The vehicle smashed through 3 buildings before coming to a stop. Lei Zhan spoke in a heavy voice. Target codename Thunder Spirit Giant Lizard. Current estimates place it at level 6 initial stage. It emerged from the southwest Red Moon Rift. So far, it has already destroyed 3 defensive lines. At its current speed, its thunder field will cover the final evacuation route in no more than 15 minutes. The screen displayed 976 live signals. They were tightly clustered along the northern evacuation route. Each green dot represented a survivor who still hadn't escaped. Alex silently watched the Thunder Spirit giant lizard. Every time it released its thunder magma, a blue-purple light flashed beneath the bones in its chest. That was most likely its core. At that moment, the 9 dragons pulling the coffin tattoo on Alex's back grew slightly warm. Inside the black coffin, the first blood-red chain trembled faintly. It was craving the monster's golden box. If Alex obtained it, the first chain would be completely stabilized. It might even weaken the second seal. Alex slowly stood up. I'm going. Lei Zhan immediately nodded. Mr. Alex, thank you. Alex shook his head. No need. Protecting our country and its people is my responsibility too. Keep the evacuation convoy moving. Leave the Thunder Spirit giant lizard to me. Concentrate your remaining firepower on both sides of the evacuation route. Don't let the beast horde reach the convoy. Lei Zhan answered without hesitation. Understood. Alex looked at the battlefield map. The Thunder Spirit giant lizard is a Thunder-type mutant beast. A natural Earth-famed thunder field has definitely formed around it. Don't send drones too close. Any electronic equipment entering the core thunder field will likely fail. Lei Zhan immediately recorded every instruction. Alex then turned toward Chu Xiaodao and Jiang Xinyi. Xiaodao, Xinyi, let's move. Chu Xiaodao instantly stood up. Finally, it's our turn to fight a real battle. Jiang Xinyi calmly said, I'll purify the thunder poison rain and protect the injured. Alex nodded. The thunder poison rain, the corrupted thunder field, and the evacuation of the wounded are all your responsibility. Understood. 3 minutes later. The heavy armor covering the roof of Blackstone Base slowly opened. A military-supplied hypersonic transport aircraft was already waiting on the launch platform. Chu Xiaodao looked at the aircraft before turning to Alex. Brother Alex, we're all awakened now. Do we still have to fly there? Can't you just fly us over yourself? Alex nodded. I can. Then why take the plane? Alex replied calmly. Jiangzhou is thousands of kilometers from the southwest. Outside, the skies are filled with black fog, thunderstorms, and flying mutant beasts. Flying across multiple war zones would consume too much energy. When we arrive at the battlefield, would you rather spend 30 minutes catching your breath, or arrive ready to fight at full strength? Chu Xiaodao answered immediately. Then let's take the plane. The transport aircraft's engines roared to life. Moments later, it launched from Blackstone Base, slicing through the sea of black fog as it sped toward the southwest war zone. More than an hour later, the aircraft reached the outer edge of the southwest war zone. The sky outside had completely changed. Massive thunderclouds pressed down over the mountains. Torrential rain poured from the heavens. Blue-purple lightning twisted through the clouds like gigantic dragons. The pilot's voice came over the intercom. Mr. Alex, the extreme thunderstorm zone begins 30 kilometers ahead. Electronic interference is severe. If we go any farther, there's a high chance the aircraft will crash. Alex answered calmly. Open the door. The cabin door slowly slid open. Freezing rain and violent winds instantly rushed into the aircraft. In the distance, the mountain city was engulfed by lightning and flames. Chu Xiaodao walked to the open doorway and looked down from nearly 1,000 meters above the ground. A grin spread across his face. Now this is the kind of entrance a young master deserves. Boom! The Nurta Dharma form, with its 3 heads and 6 arms, appeared behind him. The fire-tipped spear, universe ring, and red armillary sash materialized one after another. Standing on his windfire wheels, Chu Xiaodao leapt out of the aircraft. A streak of crimson fire tore through the thunderstorm as he plunged toward the southwest mountain city. He looked like a burning meteor falling from the sky. Monsters! Your young master has arrived. On the other side, Jiang Xingyi spread her 6 radiant wings. Pure white divine light expanded around her, carving out a clean space within the storm. Alex stood at the aircraft's open door. The 9 dragons pulling the coffin tattoo on his back trembled slightly. Streams of black crystal energy gathered beneath his feet. The next moment, he stepped out of the aircraft. Violent winds slammed into his face. The black fog churned wildly. Standing upon the black crystal airflow, Alex descended rapidly from a height of 1,000 meters. Below him, the southwest mountain city was burning. At the edge of the city, the enormous thunder spirit giant lizard slowly raised its head. It had already sensed their arrival. Its blue-purple eyes locked onto the sky. Inside its mouth, a mass of blue-purple thunder magma was rapidly gathering. Its target was the northern evacuation passage. The final transport vehicle still hadn't entered the tunnel. Alex stared at the level 6 mutant beast and spoke quietly. I'm here. Southwest battlefield. Above the southwest mountain city, the thunderclouds hung so low it looked as if the sky itself was about to collapse. Rain crashed down without mercy. Every drop carried black corruption mist mixed with blue-purple lightning. Whenever it struck an armored vehicle, it exploded with deafening crackles. The flooded streets had become a deadly conductive network capable of electrocuting anyone who entered. In the distance, the thunder spirit giant lizard continued advancing. With every step, blue-purple lightning spread through the floodwaters. The entire city had become one enormous thunder domain. In front of the northern evacuation passage, the final 3 evacuation convoys were still trapped in the flooded streets. Even the medical vehicles had already short-circuited. The civilian transport vehicle had become stuck after the road collapsed beneath it. The rearguard convoy was still fighting off endless waves of mutant beasts. The screams of the wounded, the cries of frightened children, the roars of soldiers, and the howls of the mutant beasts, all blended together beneath the relentless rain as the advancing thunderfield threatened to swallow the road at any moment. The supreme commander of the Southwest War Zone, Li Yue, stood beside the temporary command vehicle. His military cap was completely soaked. It was impossible to tell whether the water on his face was rain or sweat. The voices coming through the communicator were already hoarse. Commander, the eastern ruins are about to collapse. Li Yue gripped the communicator so tightly that his fingers turned white. How much longer until the last transport vehicle reaches the tunnel? 12 minutes, but the thunderfield will reach us in 5. For the first time, helplessness appeared in Li Yue's eyes. Just then, a sharp sound tore through the sky. Commander! High-energy reactions detected in the air. Li Yue immediately looked up. Beneath the dark thunderclouds, 3 figures were descending from the sky. The first to arrive was a brilliant white light. Jiang Xinyi's 6 radiant wings were fully spread. The faint silhouette of the 9 heavens mystic maiden Dharma form floated behind her. She didn't even glance at the thunder spirit giant lizard. Instead, she flew straight toward the evacuation convoy. She knew those people couldn't survive much longer. A military doctor had just jumped from a medical vehicle to rescue a fallen soldier lying in the flooded street. Suddenly, blue-purple lightning raced through the water and reached his feet. His entire body convulsed violently. He collapsed to his knees. From inside the vehicle, frightened children cried out, "Doctor! Doctor!" Under the influence of the thunderfield, the mutant beasts had become completely frenzied. They charged the evacuation line without stopping. Chu Xiaodao's wall of fire was pushed back. 1 meter, 2 meters, 3 meters. Then, a level 4 thunder-armored beast burst through the flames and slammed directly into him. Chu Xiaodao was knocked several meters backward. Behind him stood the civilian transport vehicle. Inside, children were crying, while elderly survivors struggled to suppress their coughing. Chu Xiaodao looked down. Both of his arms had gone numb from the impact. The next second, he drove the fire-tipped spear into the ground with all his strength. Boom! Crimson flames erupted around the spear like an explosion. You want to get through? Ask this young master's spear first. The Nujha Dharma form appeared in full once again. Its 3 heads and 6 arms stood like an unbreakable wall before the evacuation passage. The crimson fire line reignited. The beast horde was forced back more than 30 meters. Liyue instantly regained his composure. He raised his voice and shouted, "All support teams, assist the civilians, stabilize the outer defensive line, move everyone into the safe zone. The convoy keeps moving." An evacuation route that had been on the verge of collapse was forcefully stabilized by Jiang Xingyi and Chu Xiaodao. Behind Chu Xiaodao, the Nejia Dharma form fully manifested. The enormous shadows of the fire-tipped spear, universe ring, and red armillary sash revolved between its 6 arms. He glanced back at the evacuation convoy. A little girl stood behind a window, clutching her soaked cloth doll tightly against her chest. Tears streamed down her face. For a brief moment, the smile disappeared from Chu Xiaodao's face. Then he turned back toward the battlefield. Looking at the endless black beast horde charging forward, he shouted, "Brothers, getting everyone out safely is your job. As for these monsters, they belong to this young master." The moment his words fell, the wind fire wheels erupted with blazing flames. Chu Xiaodao became a streak of crimson fire as he charged straight into the beast horde. "Wind fire heaven step!" The spinning wind fire wheels skimmed across the ground, leaving blazing trails behind them. The formation of the charging mutant beasts instantly collapsed. The fire-tipped spear swept through the air, piercing straight through the head of a thunder-armored wolf. The universe ring crashed down from above, shattering the shoulder of a mutant giant ape. The red armillary sash transformed into a blazing crimson ribbon, wrapping around 3 mutant beasts that were charging toward the convoy before hurling them back into the ruins. But there were simply too many beasts. More and more glowing red eyes opened among the shattered buildings. Driven mad by the thunderfield, the mutant beasts charged without fear. Little by little, Chu Xiaodao's wall of fire was forced backward. 1 meter, 2 meters, 3 meters. Then, a level 4 thunder-armored beast burst through the flames and slammed into him with full force. Chu Xiaodao slid several meters backward. Behind him stood the civilian transport vehicle. Inside, the cries of children and the muffled coughing of elderly survivors echoed through the cabin. He looked down at his numb hands. The next moment, he drove the fire-tipped spear into the ground with all his strength. Boom! Crimson flames exploded around the spear. "You want to get through? Ask this young master's spear first." The Nejia Dharma form erupted once again in its full power. Its 3 heads and 6 arms became a gigantic wall standing before the evacuation passage. The crimson fire line blazed back to life, forcing the beast horde to stop more than 30 meters away. Liyue immediately regained control of the situation. He roared his orders across the battlefield. "All support teams, stabilize the outer defensive line. Get every civilian into the safe zone. The convoy keeps moving." The evacuation route that had been moments away from collapsing was forcefully stabilized by Jiang Xinyi and Chu Xiaodao. But the beast horde was never the greatest threat. The real danger was the 80-meter-tall thunder spirit giant lizard standing at the edge of the city. At that moment, a stream of black gold energy descended from the sky. Alex landed at the end of the city's main street. The concrete road beneath Alex's feet shattered into countless pieces. The rainwater around him was pushed back by an invisible force, creating a temporary vacuum. Alex slowly raised his head. In the distance, the thunder spirit giant lizard was staring back at him. Its enormous body lowered slightly. Blue-purple thunder patterns surged violently across its scales. Within its vertical pupils, the shadow behind Alex was clearly reflected. The phantom of the 9 dragons pulling the coffin slowly appeared behind him. 9 black dragon shadows opened their crimson eyes. The ancient black coffin seemed to press down upon the entire sky. For the first time, the thunder spirit giant lizard stopped moving. It had sensed danger. Not the threat of an ordinary opponent, but the overwhelming pressure of a forbidden totem. Watching the phantom rise behind Alex, Liyue unconsciously held his breath. So this is the power of Mr. Alex from Jiangzhou. Suddenly, the thunder spirit giant lizard threw back its head and roared. The sound was so terrifying that even the curtain of rain split apart. Windows across the entire mountain city shattered from the shockwave. The thunderclouds churned violently. Blue-purple lightning poured down from the sky, gathering above the monster's head. It slowly opened its gigantic mouth. Inside its throat, a terrifying mass of thunder magma rapidly condensed. But this time, it wasn't aiming at Alex. Its target was the northern evacuation passage. Liyue's expression changed instantly. It's still targeting the convoy. Jiang Xinyi's mystic maiden domain was still suppressing the thunderfield. She had no time to evacuate everyone. Alex's eyes turned ice cold. He took one step forward. Boom! His body became a streak of black light, instantly appearing between the Thunder Spirit giant lizard and the evacuation route. The next moment, the thunder magma erupted. A gigantic, blue-purple beam of lightning tore through the clouds and blasted straight toward him. Alex slowly raised his right hand. The Pangu totem on his chest erupted with deep golden light. Behind him, the Pangu phantom appeared once again. It wasn't enormous, only a few dozen meters tall, but it carried an ancient pressure capable of crushing the world itself. Alex clenched his fist. The Pangu phantom mirrored the movement. Pangu, break thunder. The next instant, Alex threw a punch. The Pangu phantom struck at the same time. Boom! His fist collided head-on with a thunder beam. Blue-purple lightning and dark golden creation power exploded across the sky. The entire street lit up as brightly as daylight. A devastating shockwave swept in every direction. The rain instantly turned into white mist. Abandoned vehicles on both sides of the road were hurled into the air. Liyue and the nearby soldiers grabbed onto cover with all their strength, otherwise they would have been blown away. Most of the thunder beam was shattered by Alex's punch. The remaining lightning surged through the floodwaters, but the black gold airflow surrounding the 9 dragons pulling the coffin stopped it before it could enter the 3-meter area around Alex. Alex glanced at his slightly numb right hand. This level 6 mutant beast was truly more difficult to deal with than the East Sea ancient dragon. The Thunder Spirit giant lizard saw its thunder attack blocked. The violence in its eyes intensified. It dug its hind legs into the ground. Then its massive body charged forward like a moving mountain. Every step crushed the streets beneath it. Glowing thunder patterns spread from its scales into the ground. The floodwater covering the roads instantly filled with blue-purple lightning. Liyue shouted through the communicator. "Mr. Alex, it's expanding the thunder field. All electronic equipment inside the area has already failed. Anyone who gets close will be swallowed by the thunder field." But Alex didn't retreat. Instead, he stepped forward. The thunder field surged toward him. Behind him, the 9 dragon shadows roared in unison. The phantom of the 9 dragons. Pulling the coffin became even more solid. 9 black dragons circled through the sky. The gigantic black coffin descended, covering the entire street with its overwhelming pressure. 9 dragon suppression! Boom! The black coffin phantom trembled slightly. An overwhelming forbidden pressure crashed down from the heavens onto the Thunder Spirit giant lizard. Its charge came to an abrupt stop. Both of its feet sank deep into the ground. Even the rapidly expanding thunder field seemed to be crushed by an invisible force. The lightning spreading across the battlefield suddenly slowed, but the monster roared defiantly. It forced its head up and took another step forward. Boom! The ground collapsed again. Alex narrowed his eyes. A level 6 mutant beast wasn't something that could be completely suppressed so easily. Behind him, the black coffin slowly opened by a narrow crack. A black chain shot out from inside, racing toward the Thunder Spirit giant lizard's right foreleg. Sensing danger, the giant lizard instantly swung its enormous tail. Wrapped in crackling lightning, the tail swept across the battlefield like a giant whip. If it struck the evacuation route, dozens of armored vehicles would be overturned. Alex swung his arm. The black coffin chain instantly pulled tight. Stop. Boom! The chain wrapped tightly around the giant tail. Lightning immediately surged along the chain toward Alex. His entire arm went numb. But at that very moment, the black coffin trembled. Hidden Coffin Devour activated. Every trace of thunder energy traveling through the chain was forcibly devoured by the black coffin. The enormous body of the thunder spirit giant lizard was dragged off its original path. Its tail barely skimmed the edge of the evacuation route. Boom! An entire row of abandoned buildings collapsed under the impact. But the evacuation convoy remained unharmed. Watching from afar, Chu Xiaodao shouted excitedly, "Brother Alex! That was incredible!" Alex didn't respond, because the thunder spirit giant lizard had become completely enraged. It opened its gigantic mouth. Every thunder pattern across its body began glowing brilliantly. The thunderclouds overhead started spinning violently. Blue-purple lightning gathered toward it from every direction. The Yue's voice rang out urgently. "Commander, it's absorbing the remaining energy from the city's power grid. The thunder field is expanding. It wants to blow up the entire city." Li Yue immediately turned toward Alex. "Mr. Alex!" Alex looked up at the rapidly swirling thunderclouds. The aura of the thunder spirit giant lizard continued rising without end. It was slowly climbing from level 6 initial stage toward level 6 mid-stage. The monster was using the city's entire power grid and the energy within the thunderclouds to force itself into a temporary berserk state. Alex slowly raised his hand. One black coffin chain after another emerged from the void. 1, 3, 5, until finally, 9 gigantic black chains tore through the clouds and shot toward the thunder spirit giant lizard. The giant beast raised its head and roared. The thunderclouds answered with deafening thunder. The entire southwest mountain city lit up with blue-purple lightning. Alex stood calmly in the middle of that storm. Behind him, the 9 dragons pulling the coffin dominated the sky. Li Yue had just begun to breathe a sigh of relief, when suddenly, every pool of water across the city flashed at the same time. The thunder spirit giant lizard had never intended to break free from the chains. It was using the thunder field to bypass Alex. Its true target was still the northern evacuation passage. The 9 massive chains stretched across the sky. Rain split apart as it struck the dark chains. 4 of them slammed into the ground around the giant lizard's legs. The remaining 5 wrapped tightly around its neck, tail, chest, and the back of its neck. The thunder spirit giant lizard struggled with all its strength. Deep cracks spread across the streets. Abandoned vehicles were thrown into the air. Bent steel beams trembled violently beneath the rain. The damaged buildings on both sides of the road stood on the verge of collapse. Alex remained motionless. Slowly, he clenched his fist. Behind him, the phantom of the 9 dragons pulling the coffin filled the sky. The 9 black dragons lowered their heads, staring directly at the thunder spirit giant lizard. Their crimson eyes glowed like fresh blood. "Suppress!" The black coffin phantom shook violently. Boom! Another wave of forbidden pressure descended from the heavens. It crashed directly onto the giant beast. Its legs sank even deeper into the ground. The rapidly expanding thunder field seemed to be crushed by an invisible hand. Its spread slowed dramatically. Li Yue's eyes widened. It stopped. It actually stopped. A nearby staff officer spoke with a trembling voice. "Commander, the pressure on the evacuation route has dropped. The thunder field is spreading much more slowly." Li Yue immediately seized the opportunity. "All evacuation convoys, move at full speed. Medical teams, move every injured survivor into the purification zone. Rear guard, begin pulling back the defensive line." One order after another echoed across the battlefield. The evacuation route that had been moments away from collapse finally became organized again. The medical vehicles resumed moving. Civilian transport trucks slowly advanced toward the northern tunnel under the protection of the soldiers. Inside the vehicles, elderly survivors held frightened children tightly in their arms. The wounded silently pressed against their injuries. No one dared speak loudly. Everyone knew. Whether they lived or died would be decided in the next few minutes. But Alex knew better than anyone. The thunder spirit giant lizard hadn't reached its limit yet. A level 6 mutant beast could never be defeated that easily. Sure enough, the blue-purple light beneath its chest suddenly flared violently. Every thunder pattern across its body came alive, surging toward its chest like living creatures. Even while bound by the 9 black coffin chains, the giant beast slowly began lifting its body again. Lightning surged back toward Alex through the chains. His right arm instantly went numb. Moments later, nearly half of his body began stiffening from the violent electrical shocks. This wasn't ordinary lightning. It was mixed with Red Moon corruption and the beast's own polluted power. An ordinary Awaken's totem would have become unstable the moment it touched this energy. Alex gritted his teeth and refused to let go. Behind him, the black coffin opened slightly. Hidden Coffin Devour activated once more. Every trace of thunder energy traveling through the chains was devoured by the black coffin before it could reach Alex. A deep, ancient roar echoed from within the coffin. It sounded as though some primordial existence was chewing through the lightning itself. The first blood-red chain on the 9 dragons pulling the coffin shone brighter than ever. The Thunder Spirit giant lizard sensed it immediately. For the first time, fear and fury appeared together in its eyes. Then, without warning, it stopped struggling. Instead, it opened its enormous mouth and let out a deafening roar toward the sky. The thunderclouds exploded into motion. The rain became even more violent. The water falling from the sky began glowing with a blue-purple light. Every puddle throughout the city lit up at once. Roads, drainage channels, collapsed stairways, broken power grids, every metal surface, every pool of standing water, everything became a conductor for the spreading lightning. Jiang Xinyi's expression changed. "This is bad. The thunder field is bypassing you. It's heading straight for the evacuation route." Alex immediately turned around. She was right. Although the Thunder Spirit giant lizard's body was bound by the 9 dragon chains, its thunder field was using the floodwater throughout the city to spread around the main battlefield and race directly toward the northern evacuation passage. Several armored transport vehicles drove into the flooded streets. The moment they touched the electrified water, their entire frames shook violently. The headlights instantly went dark. The engines let out piercing screeches before dying completely. As the doors opened, 2 soldiers jumped out to push one of the stalled vehicles. The instant their boots touched the water, blue-purple lightning erupted. Their bodies stiffened immediately. Both soldiers collapsed into the flood. The convoy fell into chaos. Vehicles are out of control. The flooded area ahead is completely electrified. 2 soldiers have gone into cardiac arrest. The medical vehicle has short-circuited. Panic spread through the entire evacuation team. The cries of children echoed from inside the transport vehicles. Every sob pierced the hearts of the soldiers around them. Li Yue gripped his communicator tightly. His voice was tense. "How many people are still trapped outside?" There was a brief silence on the other end. Then the deputy's heavy, exhausted voice came through. "There are still 976 live signals on the evacuation route. Among them..." The moment those numbers were reported, the entire command channel fell silent. Then the Thunder Spirit giant lizard roared once again. Boom! The thunder field spread even faster. Blue-purple lightning raced through the floodwaters like a living tide, charging toward the evacuation convoy. "Stop the thunder field! Don't let it reach the evacuation team again! The wounded and civilians are all there!" Jiang Xinyi didn't wait for anyone's orders. The 6 wings behind her burst open. Her entire body transformed into a beam of pure white light as she flew above the evacuation convoy. Her purification domain expanded instantly. The moment the torrential rain entered the domain, the blue-purple lightning was forcibly stripped away. Even the black corruption mixed into the rain was purified into wisps of white mist. But this wasn't ordinary thunder poison rain anymore. This was an earth vein thunder field created by a level 6 mutant beast. The instant Jiang Xinyi tried to suppress it, her face turned pale. Blue-purple lightning continuously slammed against the edges of her domain. Her 6 white wings trembled violently. Their tips gradually blackened as the thunder poison burned them. "Xinyi!" The smile vanished from Chu Xiaodao's face. Jiang Xinyi didn't look back. She simply gritted her teeth. "I can hold it, but not for long." She could have shrunk the domain to protect only herself and the medical vehicle, but if she did, the transport vehicles behind her would be left completely exposed to the thunder field. So instead of retreating, she gripped the Mystic Heaven Divine Sword with both hands. Using every ounce of strength she had, she forced the entire domain downward until it covered the flooded streets. Brilliant white lights spread across the ground. Right in the middle of the deadly thunder field, she forcibly carved out a temporary safe passage. Convoy! Move now! Military doctors immediately rushed into the protected zone. The unconscious soldiers were quickly loaded back into the vehicles. At last, the medical vehicle started moving again. The two civilian transport vehicles behind it slowly followed. Their wheels cut through the floodwaters, leaving circles of purified white mist behind them. But at that very moment, the thunderfield drove countless mutant beasts into a complete frenzy. From the ruins on the opposite side, they charged toward the evacuation route. One pair of glowing red eyes after another appeared in the darkness. Their growls rolled across the battlefield like crashing waves. Chu Xiaodao wiped the rain from his face. The Nurja totem on his left arm flared with crimson light. Xinyi, just hold on. I'll take care of these. Don't let them enter the domain. As long as I'm standing here, not a single one of them will take another step. Boom! The windfire wheels beneath his feet burst into blazing flames. Crimson flames tore through the torrential rain. Behind Chu Xiaodao, the Nurja Dharma avatar with its 3 heads and 6 arms appeared once again. The fire-tipped spear, universe ring, and Huntian ribbon shone at the same time. Chu Xiaodao stepped forward and stood like an unbreakable wall before the evacuation route. The first thunder-armored beast lunged at him. The fire-tipped spear pierced straight through its chest. The second and third beasts tried to rush past him toward the convoy. The universe ring crashed down with a deafening boom, smashing one beast into the ground. At the same time, the Huntian ribbon wrapped around the other beast and hurled it back into the beast horde. But the beast horde was simply too large. Suddenly, a level 4 thunder-armored beast burst from the ruins. Its entire body was wrapped in crackling lightning as it slammed head-on into the Nurja Dharma avatar. Boom! Chu Xiaodao was thrown several meters backward. The wind fire wheels beneath his feet flickered on and off under the relentless thunder-poison rain. One of his knees buckled. He nearly collapsed. Just then, a civilian transport vehicle slowly drove past behind him. Inside, a little girl pressed herself against the window with tear-filled eyes. She didn't know who Chu Xiaodao was. She only knew that the older brother, covered in flames, was standing alone against the monsters. Chu Xiaodao noticed her. His jaw tightened. You want to get through? Keep dreaming. He drove the fire-tipped spear into the ground with all his strength, stopping his body from sliding backward. As long as I'm standing here.
Not one of you is taking another step.
Boom! The Nurja Dharma avatar erupted with power once more. A crimson wall of fire spread across the entire evacuation route. The beast horde was forced back another 30 meters. Liyue's eyes turned red. He grabbed his communicator and roared, "Reply with everything we've got. I'll provide fire support. Suppress the beast horde. Don't let them get anywhere near the domain." At last, the convoy began moving again. The thunder of artillery echoed across the battlefield. The military's remaining heavy machine guns, grenade cannons, and rocket launchers all opened fire together. A gigantic wall of steel and flames rose in front of Chu Xiaodao. On the other side of the battlefield, Alex lifted his head and looked toward the Thunder Spirit giant lizard. Although it was bound by the black coffin chains, it was still madly absorbing the energy of the thunderclouds and the city's remaining power grid. The sphere of lightning beneath its chest grew brighter with every passing second. Jiang Xinyi couldn't hold on much longer. Neither could Chu Xiaodao. Liyue's urgent voice came through the communicator. "Mr. Alex, the last transport vehicle still hasn't reached the tunnel. It's carrying only wounded civilians and children. They need just 40 more seconds." 40 seconds. Alex looked at the blue-purple sphere of lightning forming inside the Thunder Spirit giant lizard's mouth. It would explode in, at most, 10 seconds. If that attack was unleashed, the entire evacuation route would be swallowed by the thunderfield. Jiang Xinyi gritted her teeth. "I can only hold on for another 10 seconds. Chu Xiaodao roared, "Brother Alex, the convoy hasn't reached the tunnel yet." At that moment, it felt as if every sound on the battlefield had disappeared. Alex could hear only the pounding rain, the rumbling thunder, the sobbing of frightened children, and the deep, ancient echoes coming from the black coffin. 10 seconds wasn't enough. Then there was only one option. End everything in a single second. Those 10 seconds were already the absolute limit of Jiang Xinyi's domain. But the final transport vehicle still needed a full 40 seconds to reach the northern tunnel. Meanwhile, the sphere of lightning inside the Thunder Spirit giant lizard's mouth had reached its peak. Its blue-purple light illuminated the entire evacuation route. For one brief moment, the battlefield seemed to fall silent. Rain continued to pour. The beast horde still roared. The artillery still thundered. Yet everyone's eyes were fixed on that sphere of lightning. If it fell, the final convoy would be swallowed by the thunderfield. Jiang Xinyi's domain would shatter. Chu Xiaodao's wall of fire would collapse. The convoy would never reach the tunnel. Not one of the more than 900 survivors would escape alive. The Yue gripped his communicator so tightly that his knuckles turned white. His voice was almost gone. "How far is the last transport vehicle?" A weary voice answered from the other side. "Only 200 meters. Under normal circumstances, 200 meters would take only a few seconds, but now, the roads had collapsed. The floodwaters were filled with lightning. The vehicles were crawling through the ruins. Inside that final transport truck, the same little girl still pressed herself against the window. She hugged her rain-soaked doll tightly. She had no idea what the glowing blue-purple light in the sky meant. She only knew that every adult was desperately trying to move the truck forward, and that the older brother, wrapped in flames, was still standing alone in front of the monsters. Above the convoy, Jiang Xinyi floated in the air. Her 6 white wings trembled violently. Her mystic maiden domain was shrinking under the crushing pressure of the thunder field. Blue-purple lightning repeatedly bit into the edges of the white barrier like venomous snakes. Her fingers had turned pale as she gripped the mystic heaven divine sword. The thunder poison had already burned her hands. Even so, she slowly raised the sword again. Mystic maiden domain, expand once more. Boom! The white domain spread outward again. The thunder poison rain was purified once more. The lightning flowing across the flooded streets retreated slightly. But the price was severe. Her face became as pale as paper. On the other side of the battlefield, Chu Xiaodao still stood before the beast horde. But his Naja Dharma form was beginning to break apart. Even the shadow of the fire-tipped spear flickered in and out of existence. The windfire wheels were slowing under the relentless thunder poison rain. Yet instead of weakening, the beast horde became even more frenzied. They could all sense it. The thunder spirit giant lizard was about to unleash its final attack. A level 4 thunder-armored beast charged straight through the artillery barrage and rushed toward Chu Xiaodao. He planted the fire-tipped spear into the ground and stared at the incoming horde. The playful smile on his face was completely gone. 3 heads, 6 arms. Release your full power. The Naja Dharma avatar's 6 arms spread wide. The fire-tipped spear swept across the battlefield. The universe ring crashed downward. The Huntian ribbon wrapped around several charging beasts and hurled them back into the ruins. But at the same moment, a stream of blood trickled from the corner of Chu Xiaodao's mouth. He turned to look behind him. The final transport vehicle was still far from the tunnel. In a hoarse voice, he shouted, "Brother Alex! The convoy still hasn't made it!" Alex heard every word. He had seen everything. The final transport vehicle, the shattered defensive line, and the more than 900 people standing at death's door beneath the endless rain. Alex slowly looked toward the thunder spirit giant lizard. The monster was staring directly back at him. Its eyes held nothing but madness and the desire to kill. The sphere of lightning inside its mouth had completely compressed. The next moment, it would fire. 10 seconds weren't enough. Then everything would end in a single second. Alex slowly raised his right hand. 9 dragons, lock heaven! The enormous body of the thunder spirit giant lizard was suddenly forced downward. The beast struggled like a mad creature. Lightning surged through the black coffin chains and raced into Alex's body. His entire right arm went numb. Half of his body was scorched by the violent electricity. Even the depths of the black coffin shook violently. The next instant, the thunder spirit giant lizard threw its head back with all its strength. A crack appeared in one of the black coffin chains. At that exact moment, the Pangu totem on Alex's chest erupted with deep black light. The glow wasn't dazzling, but its pressure was overwhelming, as though it could crush the entire world. Behind Alex, the gigantic Pangu phantom slowly raised its head. This time, it wasn't a vague silhouette. Its muscles were clearly defined. Its ancient aura was vast beyond imagination. It felt as if an ancient god had returned from the end of primordial chaos. In its hand, the heaven-splitting axe slowly became solid. One by one, the black runes carved into the axe began glowing. The rain shattered the moment it touched the weapon. The 9 black dragon phantoms roared together. The 9 black coffin chains tightly bound the thunder spirit giant lizard's arms, legs, neck, and chest. Although the chains had turned red hot from the monster's lightning, not a single one loosened. Alex took one step forward. Rain exploded outward. The floodwater beneath his feet burst apart. His entire body transformed into a streak of black light and shot directly toward the thunder spirit giant lizard's chest. That was where the densest thunder rune was located, and where its energy core and its heart were hidden. At that exact moment, the sphere of lightning inside the thunder spirit giant lizard's mouth completely lost control. The blue-purple light was so intense it pierced Alex's vision. He slowly raised his right fist. Behind him, the Pangu phantom lifted the heaven-splitting axe at the same time. Alex spoke in a calm voice. Pangu, split heaven. The next instant, he tore through the rain. He shattered the lightning. It was as if the heavens and the earth themselves had been split in two. The heaven-splitting axe crashed down with all its might onto the thunder spirit giant lizard's chest. The thunder rune that no one had ever been able to destroy finally shattered. Blue-purple lightning erupted wildly from the cracks. The thunder spirit giant lizard let out an earth-shaking scream. The massive sphere of thunder that had been building inside its mouth exploded before it could even be fired. The devastating explosion detonated inside its own body. The entire street disappeared beneath a blinding white light. Every remaining window in the ruined city shattered at the same time. Behind Alex, the black coffin phantom stood motionless. Black crystal airflow surrounded his body, stopping the explosion's shockwave 3 steps away. Even so, the impact was so terrifying that his chest felt heavy. The ground beneath his feet collapsed once again. But Alex didn't stop. He couldn't stop. One black coffin chain after another burst out from the void. 1, 2, 3. Every chain shot directly into the cracks across the thunder spirit giant lizard's chest. Hidden coffin devour! The black coffin flew open. A terrifying suction force erupted from within. Hidden beneath the giant beast's chest, the level 6 thunder golden box, wrapped in blue-purple lightning, was forcibly dragged out by the chains. The instant the golden box left its body, every thunder pattern across the thunder spirit giant lizard rapidly dimmed. Its enormous body froze. Then it began trembling uncontrollably. It wanted to struggle. It wanted to roar. But without its golden box, its thunder energy scattered away at an astonishing speed. Finally, the 80-meter-tall monster collapsed. Boom! Its gigantic body slammed into the flooded streets. Water exploded hundreds of meters into the air. The entire city shook from the impact. The blue-purple lightning inside the thunderclouds quickly faded. Rain still fell from the sky, but the thunder poison within it had almost disappeared. Jiang Xinyi's mystic maiden domain finally stabilized. On the other side of the battlefield, the beast horde in front of Chu Xiaodao lost its leader. Confused and leaderless, the monsters began retreating. In the distance, the final transport vehicle finally entered the northern tunnel. Its wheels cut through the floodwater before disappearing into the darkness. The little girl was still pressed against the window. She couldn't see Alex's face. All she could make out was a lone black figure standing silently before the corpse of the gigantic monster beneath the endless rain. The little girl raised her tiny hand and waved at him with all her strength. Alex didn't wave back. He simply watched as the transport vehicle disappeared into the darkness of the tunnel. Only then did he slowly unclench his fist. His right arm was still numb. A sharp pain spread through his chest. A section of the Pangu totem on his chest had quietly faded into a dull gray-white. His expression didn't change, but he knew the price of that battle. For a while, he wouldn't be able to use Pangu heaven-splitting power again. If he forced it, the backlash from his totem could be devastating. Alex stood before the enormous head of the thunder spirit giant lizard. The black coffin chains returned to his side. The level 6 thunder golden box floated above his palm, blue-purple lightning flashing continuously inside it. Behind him, the first blood-red chain of the 9 dragons pulling the coffin shone brilliantly. Even the second chain deep within his soul trembled faintly, as though it was beginning to awaken. Far away at the evacuation route, the soldiers stood frozen for a few seconds. Then, a thunderous roar of celebration erupted across the battlefield. Chu Xiaodao dismissed his Naja Dharma avatar and collapsed onto the ground, breathing heavily. I was this close to passing out, but that was worth it. Jiang Xinyi also withdrew her mystic maiden domain. Her 6 white wings slowly folded behind her. Her face was pale, and the tips of her wings were scorched black by the thunder poison. Even so, her eyes remained calm. The evacuation route had been saved. Li Yue stood beside the command vehicle, staring silently at the corpse of the thunder spirit giant lizard. Rain streamed down his face. Alex stored away the level 6 thunder golden box before looking at him. The Beast King is dead, but the beast horde hasn't been wiped out yet. Continue evacuating the civilians. Eliminate every remaining mutant beast. Chu Xiaodao summoned the phantom of the fire-tipped spear once more and climbed back to his feet. All right, let's finish the job. The mystic heaven divine sword appeared in Jiang Xinyi's hand again. Her white wings spread open once more. Alex stood before the corpse of the thunder spirit giant lizard. Behind him, the phantom of the 9 dragons pulling the coffin appeared once again. The black coffin floated silently in the air. The remaining beast horde sensed the overwhelming forbidden pressure. Fear spread through them as they let out uneasy growls. The next moment, the 3 of them charged back into the beast horde. With the death of the thunder spirit giant lizard, the thunder field that had covered the entire southwest mountain city rapidly weakened. Rain still poured from the sky, but the blue-purple lightning mixed within it had almost completely vanished. The military fire control system, which had nearly been crippled by the thunder field, gradually came back online. The electrical interference disrupting communications faded away. One report after another immediately came through the command channel. Communications have been restored. The Eastern Defensive Line has reconnected to the command network. The last transport convoy has entered the northern tunnel. Main city evacuation complete. The moment the final report came in, Li Yue closed his eyes and let out a long breath. After fighting on the front line throughout the entire night, the shoulders of the Southwest War Zone's commander finally relaxed. But he wasn't given a moment to rest. Suddenly, ferocious beast roars echoed through the distant ruins. With the death of the thunder spirit giant lizard, the thunder field that had been suppressing the beast horde completely disappeared. The low-level mutant beasts that had been under its command were now completely out of control. Some turned and fled. Others became even more frenzied under the influence of the scent of blood and the lingering Red Moon corruption. They no longer had a leader. Only instinct remained, and that instinct drove them toward the nearest humans. The northern tunnel, where the final convoy had just entered. Large numbers of mutant beasts began rushing toward the tunnel entrance. Pressure on the outer defensive line is rising rapidly. The rear units are requesting reinforcements. Li Yue immediately opened his eyes and clenched his fists again. All support units, listen carefully. Hold the outer defensive line at all costs. Medical teams, move the wounded to the rear. Rear units, maintain your formation. Before he could even finish giving his orders, boom! The ruins ahead exploded apart. Dozens of mutant beasts burst out from between the collapsed buildings. Chu Xiaodao had only just dismissed his Ninja Dharma avatar and was sitting on the ground, catching his breath. The moment he saw the scene, he cursed. They won't even let me catch my breath. Even while complaining, he used the fire-tipped spear to pull himself back onto his feet. The Ninja totem on his left arm lit up once again. But this time, the wind-fire wheels were no longer as stable as before. Jiang Xinyi landed beside him. The black burn marks left by the thunder poison still covered the tips of her 6 white wings. Her face was even paler than before. Even so, she tightened her grip on the mystic heaven divine sword. Alex looked at them. Xiaodao, Xinyi, can you two still fight? Xu Xiaodao laughed. Brother Alex, don't insult our friendship with a question like that. As long as I can still move, I can still kill. Jiang Xinyi answered calmly. I'll defend the tunnel entrance. The next instant, the windfire wheels beneath Chu Xiaodao exploded into crimson flames. He became a streak of fire and shot toward the entrance of the northern tunnel. Nija, windfire, heaven step! The twin windfire wheels spun across the flooded ground. A cloud of steam erupted into the air. The formation of dozens of charging low-level mutant beasts was instantly shattered. Jiang Xinyi stood silently before the tunnel entrance. Rain continued pouring onto her, but every drop evaporated into steam 3 steps before it could touch her, purified by her divine white light. Several mutant beasts carrying thunder poison bypassed Chu Xiaodao and charged straight toward the tunnel. Jiang Xinyi's eyes turned icy. Mystic Maiden Purification. A white domain expanded in an instant. The thunder poison was forcibly stripped from the beasts' bodies. Their movements immediately slowed. Jiang Xinyi took a single step forward. Her body floated through the rain like moonlight. 9 Heavens Purification Sword. A brilliant white sword light burst from the Mystic Heaven Divine Sword, spreading across the entrance of the tunnel. Several mutant beasts were sliced in half in a single strike. Before the corruption leaking from their bodies could spread, it was purified into wisps of white mist. Alex stood beside the corpse of the Thunder Spirit giant lizard. Behind him, the 9 dragons pulling the coffin phantom appeared once more. The black coffin floated silently in the air. The 9 black dragons stared at the remaining beast horde with their crimson eyes. Under the overwhelming forbidden pressure, the beasts slowed down noticeably. Some of the low-level mutant beasts even began retreating on instinct. Alex raised his hand. A black coffin chain shot out from the void. A level 4 thunderbone beast, which had been trying to sneak toward the tunnel from behind, was instantly bound by the chain. It struggled wildly. Lightning exploded from its body, but it was meaningless against the black coffin. Hidden Coffin Devour. The black coffin trembled slightly. The beast's thunder energy was instantly suppressed. Alex took one step forward and appeared above its head. The Pangu totem on his chest glowed faintly. But the next moment, a sharp pain tore through his chest. His brows tightened. Not Pangu power. At least, not yet. He withdrew the Pangu power before it could fully activate. Instead of striking, he directly sealed the Thunderbone beast inside the half-life space. Then he looked across the battlefield. The beast horde had completely fallen apart. Chu Xiaodao seized the opportunity. His wind-fire wheels erupted into flames once again. The fire-tipped spear swept through the scattered beasts like a blazing whirlwind. On the other side, Jiang Xinyi continuously unleashed the 9 Heavens Purification Sword. Brilliant white sword light tore through the rain, cleansing every trace of lingering corruption. 10 minutes later. The last mutant beast trying to charge toward the tunnel entrance was finally eliminated. At last. The battlefield fell silent. Only the sound of rain striking the ruined city remained. From deep inside the tunnel came the faint cries of children, the exhausted breathing of survivors, and quiet whispers of relief from those who had lived through the nightmare. The adjutant's voice sounded through the communicator. Commander, the safety of the final evacuation convoy has been confirmed. Main city evacuation complete. Li Yue stood quietly in the rain and slowly closed her eyes. For the first time, the hand gripping her communicator relaxed. She didn't celebrate. She simply said in a low voice, "Good. Very good. Begin counting the casualties. Reorganize the entire defensive line. Do not lower the alert level." Just then, rapid footsteps echoed from the direction of the tunnel entrance. Several military medics came running out, carrying a stretcher. Lying on it was the elderly soldier who had risked his life earlier to save the little girl. His protective suit had been burned black by the lightning. His chest rose and fell with great difficulty. His face was as pale as ash. The little girl ran alongside the stretcher. A military blanket was wrapped around her shoulders, and she still clutched her soaked cloth doll tightly against her chest. Crying, she kept asking over and over, "Uncle isn't going to die, is he? Uncle isn't going to die, right?" The military medics didn't answer, because they weren't sure themselves. The elderly soldier had remained inside the thunderfield for far too long. His heartbeat had become dangerously weak. Jiang Xinyi looked at him and quietly walked over. Without saying a word, she raised her hand. A gentle white light flowed from her 9 Heavens Snow Maiden totem and settled onto the soldier's chest. The thunder poison slowly began leaving his body. At last, a trace of color returned to his pale face. One of the military medics suddenly shouted, "His heartbeat is back!" The little girl froze for a moment. Then she hugged her cloth doll tightly and bowed deeply to Jiang Xinyi. "Thank you, big sister." Jiang Xinyi remained silent for a few seconds. For the first time, a hint of warmth appeared in her usually cold eyes. "Go. He still needs treatment." The little girl nodded vigorously before running back into the tunnel with the medical team. Chu Xiaodao watched the scene and smiled faintly. "Now, it finally feels like we've really won." Alex said nothing, but he understood exactly what Chu Xiaodao meant. Killing the Thunder Spirit giant lizard was only winning the battle. Getting everyone out alive, that was the real victory. Li Yue took a deep breath before shifting her gaze back to the tactical display. She opened a tactical tablet. An aerial scan appeared on the screen. Deep within the southwest mountain range, a black-red crack stretching for several kilometers cut across the mountains. It looked like the eye of some monstrous creature that had been torn open. The surrounding black fog was incredibly dense. From time to time, crimson light pulsed from deep inside the crack. Mr. Alex. The Thunder Spirit giant lizard emerged from this location. The military has temporarily designated it as the Red Moon Rift Valley. Even before today, large numbers of low-level mutant beasts had already emerged from this rift. Now that the Beast King is dead, the area has gone quiet for the moment. But we all know, that's only temporary. Alex silently stared at the image. Behind him, the 9 dragons pulling the coffin grew slightly warm. The reaction wasn't strong, but it was definitely there. This Red Moon Rift Valley was probably another abnormal node created by the Red Moon catastrophe, just like the one beneath East Sea Sky City. Its level simply wasn't as high. For now, there's no need to enter the Rift Valley. Seal off the outer perimeter first. Set up permanent monitoring stations. If you detect any energy fluctuations above level 6, report them to Blackstone Base immediately. Li Yue nodded. Understood. Just then, a video communication request appeared on the tactical screen. It was Lei Jian. It was obvious he had been monitoring the entire southwest battlefield from beginning to end. Seeing both Alex and Li Yue standing safely, obvious relief appeared on Lei Jian's face. Mr. Alex, Commander Li, how is the situation in the southwest war zone? Li Yue answered immediately. The main city evacuation is complete. The level 6 Thunder Spirit giant lizard has been confirmed dead. The remaining beast horde has been eliminated. The reconstruction of the defensive line has already begun. Excellent. Lei Jian finally let out a sigh of relief. Then he looked at Alex, his expression turning serious. Mr. Alex, the Dragon Marshal is waiting for this battle report at the Kyoto Command Center. This wasn't just a battle for the Southwest War Zone. Every surviving defensive zone across the country has been watching. After the battle in Jiangzhou, many people already knew how powerful you were. But this time is different. You personally responded to the military's request and crossed war zones to reinforce the Southwest. The significance of that can't be overstated. To the outside world, this represents Blackstone Base's official cooperation with the Dragon Nation's national defense forces. It's extremely important for maintaining public confidence. Alex replied calmly, handle the report however you think is appropriate. But don't exaggerate anything. The city was defended by the military. I only dealt with the high-level mutant beast. Lei Jian nodded. Understood. The communication screen switched. The Kyoto Command Center appeared. A massive electronic display showed the latest battlefield update. Level 6 Thunder Spirit Giant Lizard. Confirmed dead. Southwest main city evacuation. Complete. Blackstone Base joint operation. Successful. Silence filled the command hall for several seconds. Then dozens of officers looked up at the same time. Some clenched their fists, others released long breaths of relief. Many silently watched the battle footage on the giant screen. In the pouring rain, a lone black figure stood before the corpse of the gigantic beast. On the Supreme Command platform, the Dragon Marshal stared at that silhouette for a long time. After a brief silence, he spoke only one sentence. From this day forward, Blackstone Base is officially designated as one of the Dragon Nation's highest-level cooperative combat forces. At the same time, on the Beijing defensive line, a blood-covered commander was listening to reports from his subordinates. Blackstone Base has reinforced the southwest. The level 6 mutant beast has been killed. The commander's eyes lit up. Good. Tell the brothers on the front line, level 6 mutant beasts aren't invincible. They can be killed. The same report reached another defensive zone along the southern coast. The soldiers, whose morale had been collapsing, suddenly found renewed hope. The southwest survived. A level 6 beast has been defeated. Like wildfire, the news spread through military communication channels across the entire country. For the first time, countless survivors realized that beyond Jiangzhou, there was another force standing against the apocalypse. Blackstone Base. The fact that Blackstone Base had crossed war zones to hunt down a level 6 mutant beast on the southwest battlefield spread across the country. This victory wasn't just about saving a single mountain city. It became a beacon of hope for every war zone in the Dragon Nation. After the communication ended, Chu Xiaodao walked over with exhausted steps. He dropped onto a broken concrete block with a heavy sigh. Wiping the rain from his face, he said, "Brother Alex, this time I really am exhausted. The Nja Dharma avatar looks incredibly cool, but it's just as exhausting to use." Jiang Xinyi also landed quietly beside them. Alex looked at the two of them. "You both played a huge role in protecting the evacuation route. Especially you, Xiaodao." Chu Xiaodao immediately puffed out his chest. "Of course, this young master can now hold an entire battlefield by himself." Jiang Xinyi replied without hesitation, "That's assuming you don't almost get crushed by 3 thunder-armored beasts." "Hey, I almost got crushed, but I didn't." Just then, members of the Southwest War Zone carried over a large supply crate. "This is an additional gift of thanks from the Southwest War Zone." Alex glanced at the crate and accepted it without hesitation. The energy dew inside wasn't particularly useful to him anymore, but it was still extremely valuable for Chu Xiaodao and Jiang Xinyi. After being refined through hidden coffin devour, it could also serve as cultivation resources in the future. Alex stored the entire crate inside the half-life space. Chu Xiaodao's eyes immediately lit up. "Brother Alex, does that mean Xinyi and I get a share for cultivation?" Alex nodded. "When we return to Blackstone Base, you'll each receive whatever you can safely absorb. The rest will be exchanged for military resources." Chu Xiaodao laughed. "Whatever the boss says." Jiang Xinyi said calmly, "If I hadn't purified the thunder poison, you would have passed out at least 3 times." Chu Xiaodao looked helpless. "Xinyi, your sarcasm is getting more dangerous every day." Watching the two of them argue, a faint smile finally appeared on Alex's face. The battle in the southwest had been incredibly dangerous, but the outcome couldn't have been better. The Thunder Spirit giant lizard was dead. The main city's evacuation had been completed successfully. Official cooperation between Blackstone Base and the military had also been established. Most importantly, Alex had obtained the level 6 Thunder Golden Box. The second chain of the 9 dragons pulling the coffin had already begun to loosen. But he had no intention of refining it here. This wasn't the right place. The energy contained within a level 6 golden box was far too violent. It could only be processed safely inside the core area of Blackstone Base. Alex looked toward the distant southwest mountain range. The Red Moon Rift Valley still lay hidden within the depths of the black fog. He turned to Li Yue. "For now, the Southwest War Zone is in your hands. Seal the outer perimeter of the Red Moon Rift Valley, and don't enter it until you're fully prepared." Li Yue lowered her head solemnly. "Understood." Alex then looked at Chu Xiaodao and Jiang Xinyi. "Let's head back." "Back to Blackstone Base?" Chu Xiaodao asked. Alex nodded. "I need to refine the level 6 Thunder Golden Box, and I want to see whether the second chain of the 9 dragons pulling the coffin can finally be unlocked." "The second chain?" Even Jiang Xinyi looked at him with curiosity. Alex didn't explain any further. He simply raised his head and looked at the sky. The thunderclouds were slowly dispersing. The rain was beginning to ease, but on the distant horizon, the crimson glow of the red moon still painted the world in darkness. The catastrophe was far from over. This was only the beginning. And with that, Season 1 of this manhwa comes to an end. As of now, Season 2 hasn't been released yet. The moment a new season comes out, I'll bring you the complete recap as soon as possible. If you enjoyed this manhwa recap, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment telling me which manhwa you'd like to see next.